Welcome one, welcome on this Friday. It is not to be. Odell Beckham Jr. not coming to Green Bay. We had talked about it yesterday when the news broke that he was going to the Rams. It was one of the things that we had discussed on this program. We said, look, if there's a list of teams that he could possibly go to, we did put LA on that list. They made the move for Von Miller. You thought, you know what? You get the sense that they're kind of pushing those chips to the middle of the table. They believe now is the time. And we had mentioned it and said, hey, this could be a possibility. Don't eliminate it. And we went through the list of teams that could, one, afford him, and the list of teams, two, that it would be, I don't want to say worthy of, but the fact that he could end up in that franchise because they are making that kind of a run. They could be a winning franchise with enough money to pay him, and sure enough, the Rams were the team. We had talked about the fact that he works out in L.A. Because there was a lot of talk about New Orleans. I don't think New Orleans was ever a serious contender. I think when it came down to it was L.A. could pay him. L.A. has a good record. L.A.'s got a decent quarterback. And L.A. is a place that he normally resides and likes to work out. And all those things came into play. Am I mad about it? No. It's just another example of the Packers getting their name in there, but not walking away with what would be a coveted prize. It's just, I think as Packers fans, we're used to this. I think this one was more of a no-brainer to get him, especially at this point in the season, especially knowing what is at stake going into next season. So this seemed like it would be a no-brainer to kind of push the chips to the middle of the table. But again, the Packers are a bridesmaid, never a bride, so to speak. Ben, you and I talked about this. He could have ended up in L.A. and certainly did. And you were the one that alerted me to it yesterday when I was getting ready for the huddle. Deflating?
No, I mean, as we've said, this is what you kind of come to expect. Goody threw his darts early in the year with Merciless and Jalen Smith, all those guys. I didn't really ever expect him to come to Green Bay. And I jokingly say he hates the cold, but I mean, going to LA, that's part of it.
Yeah. I think he does not like the weather. He's played in Cleveland. He has played in New York. If he could get a few of those games, because remember, the majority of the schedule now favors Green Bay in home field. And now the weather is set in. And the cold, I woke up this morning. I had to do a little running around. I'm out in the cold. And sure enough, there's flurries flying and such. And the majority of games now for the remainder of the season are at Lambeau Field starting this weekend. You got the Seahawks, then you go on the road for the Vikings, then you come back home for the Rams, back home for the Bears, on the road for the Baltimore Ravens, back home for the Browns, back home for the Vikings again, and then you got the Lions on the road for the last game of the year. But you've got 5 out of your next 8 home games at Lambeau Field in the cold, even pressing from into December and Christmas into January, and I just didn't think Odell Beckham Jr. wanted to be a part of that. So I'm sure that
you hit this on the head yesterday, but I still don't think they really need him.
I don't think, no, I agree with you. I don't think they have to have him. That's right. I think, and for those that say, well, they needed him because of Tanyan. No, not really. You didn't have to have him because of the loss of Robert Tanyan. First of all, he doesn't play tight end, so it's a moot point. But I think what you wanted was the assurance of, yes, you have that other weapon. Now, what would add insult to injury, and knock on wood, it doesn't happen, but this was brought up last night. What happens now if, say, Devontae goes down? What happens now if, say, you lose MVS or Lazard again? And then you need that other guy alongside Devontae. Then this lack of move will hurt. But I don't think they absolutely positively need them. They've got weapons, and I think they've got a pretty good offense. They've got one of the best quarterbacks. We all know that. I don't think it's a necessity. It would have been a luxury at this point. But it would have turned into a necessity towards the end of the year, especially when you're thinking about the postseason and about a team trying to cover everything that it is you have to offer. So I get it, but again, bridesmaid, never a bride for the Green Bay Packers. So, hey, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Did you see last night, by any chance, the game between the Ravens and the Dolphins? Did you watch that last night by any chance there, Ben?
Bill, it was I was out for a couple drinks and it was on at the bar, so I saw it, but I can't say I watched it that intently.
Okay. Does anybody know out there what I'm about to talk about? In that game, something happened. And
Big boy?
Matt LaFleur and his explanation should be ashamed of himself. Does anybody know what I'm about to talk about? Over on the Bud Light live stream, hit me up. Give me a shout. On Twitter, do you know what I'm about to talk about? Does anybody know what I'm about to? Does anybody that was watching that game last night thought, wait a minute. Oh, my God. And said, okay, Matt LaFleur is so full of crap or cojones-less, it's not funny. Does anybody know? Does anybody know what I'm about to talk about?
I think I'm on the edge of my seat.
Paul, no, it's not the blitzing. Good guess, but no. Did anybody see it and go, oh my God, Matt LaFleur is so full of crap? Nobody's getting it. Nobody's getting it. Mary says Tua is passing. Nope. Lamar Jackson running the football. Nope. No, I cannot believe nobody looked at this and went, oh my God. Last night, late in that ball game, Tua, from 1 yard out, got under center, a full all-out jumbo package by the Baltimore Ravens. It was, I think it was 3rd and 1 from like the half foot line. Last night, blitz comes on, jumbo package, everybody's crashing the line, and what do? A quarterback with a broken finger stuffed it in. Up the middle for 1 yard. No, it was 1st and 1, excuse me. They had gotten the first down on the 3rd and 2. It was 1st and 1. Tua lined up under center, their front 11 against the Dolphins front 11, and Tua took it in from 1 yard out with a broken finger. An injured quarterback dove in for a touchdown. And to sit there and to listen to Matt LaFleur's garbage about, well, they're showing a jumbo package. We can't run against it. That's it's futile. And then, no, Tua Tagovailoa, he stuck it in your rear end, Matt LaFleur. Unbelievable. And I sat there and I said, that's the way you play football. And the explanation after the fact was, hey, if you can't get 1 yard, what are you doing out here? I loved what their head coach had to say. Loved it. Packers, 1st and goal, 3 straight times. Shotgun, pass. Can't get a quarterback in there. Can't do it. Can't run the football. Oh, they're showing 11 up front. They're showing a blitz pass. That you know what that is? That's ballless football. That's not football. That's what that is. Matt LaFleur, you should be ashamed of yourself. Tua last night stuck it in your ass. Yes, he did. With a broken finger, they said, we are going to score. We are going to get the win. We're going to solidify this deal. And you've got a quarterback who constantly passes out a shotgun, 1, 2, 3 and out, kick a field goal. Constantly. I loved it. Brian Flores, kudos to you. Kudos to you. For that alone, I'm going to love you as a coach. I mean, Baltimore had everybody on the line. Jumbo package, extra linemen. They knew what was coming. Dolphins knew what they were going to do. They looked you in the eye and said, we're going to get you a yard. That's what they did. And Tua dove into the end zone. I loved it. Loved it last night. The next time Matt LaFleur gives you, well, they're showing the jumbo look, you just look at Matt LaFleur and go, really? We just saw Tua do it. Baltimore lined up with everybody they had, except coaches and a bus, and a team bus. They lined up with everybody. Tua stuck in the end zone with a broken finger. And you're going to tell us because you don't have enough to go against the jumbo package. You don't have enough ballers. You don't have enough maulers. You don't have enough road graders. You don't have a courageous enough quarterback to be able to run the football. Sorry about your luck. You deserve to lose. I loved it last night. Loved it last night. This is Matt LaFleur giving the explanation as to why they can't run the football against a lot of dudes, man.
So what they did was they basically put 6 bigs in the game. They were in a goal line defense no matter what personnel we were in. And then we went big, and then they threw another linebacker in there. So, I mean, they had basically 9 bigs in there, and they were just daring us to throw the football. And you know, again, that's one of the things that you got to look at in, you know, with yourself first in terms of, did we give our guys a chance? That's obviously when you're on the half-yard line and you don't score. I mean, that is a real gut check.
No, that's on you.
That starts with me.
Yeah.
And I got to do a better job.
No, you got to call a play that actually matters and tell everybody to man up. That's a gutless, punk-ass explanation. That's what that is. That is pathetic. That's a cojones coach right there. Ladies and gentlemen, Matricia LaFleur. I watched that last night, and I about jumped out of my seat. Jumped out of my seat last night. And then I'm thinking to myself, they just did it with a quarterback coming back from injury with a broken finger. And he still stuck it in there. Fired up his team, and they're doing everything they can to try to make a push. Dolphins still aren't there, that great of a football team. They're still on the come. They're trying to figure it out. A lot of the controversy about whether they would or wouldn't have Tua as their quarterback and all that kind of stuff. I get it. But last night, 22-10, they knocked off the Baltimore Ravens. Dolphins are 3-7. They're not going anywhere. They're just trying to say we got nothing to lose. This is Aaron Rodgers and his explanation as to why they'd rather throw the football. By the way, it was 1st and goal from the half-foot line, and they decided to throw it 3 straight times. Here's Aaron Rodgers' explanation.
On the 4th down, I mean, they had 7 guys in the box. So if you look at what happened, if I'd hand the ball off, he would have got stuffed by 3 guys. So, you know, guy put his hand up at the right time, but had Cobby there probably for a touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So if I'd have handed the ball off, why wouldn't Rodgers say, I should have taken it and just snuck it in? Why wouldn't he do that? I keep thinking of the movie Christmas Story when I think of Aaron Rodgers on short yardage situations. Do you know what word I'm thinking of, Ben? Another trivia question.
I'm to a
Gile. It's a French word meaning fragile. He refuses to dive for a first down into the end zone or what. I mean, I've seen him take a couple of hits this year, but when it comes to short yardage, I cannot fathom this. Everybody else in the league does it. The Packers refuse to do it. Fragile. That's the word. Off to a fiery start today as we get you ready for the Packers and the Seahawks coming up this weekend at Lambeau Field, and which we're looking forward to that. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. The snow is starting to fly. I've got it flying around outside the window right now. Just flurries, small flurries, but nevertheless, they're there. And we know it's not the most auspicious time to ride a motorcycle. However, if you're looking for cool jackets, leathers, coats, hats, whatever it happens to be, it's year-round, man. It's year-round. Stop out at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. Go to wishd.com. That is wishd.com. See my buddy Craig over there, the GM. Also, this is the time, if you're going to take a boat and you've got it winterized already, and you're like, man, I need a new cover. I need new upholstery. I've got maybe an awning outside of my business, and it's just getting frayed, and it's going to get cold, and it's going to crack, and it's going to split, and it's going to look nasty. Get a hold of my buddy Dwayne. Dwayne's Cover It All up in Wausau. Dwayne's Cover It All up in Wausau. Not only is he a great guy, but he does fantastic work. Absolutely fantastic work. Get a hold of him. Go to DUANES, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That is Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com, or just call him 715-870-2119. 715-870-2119. That's it. 715-870-2119. There you go. So now you've got it written down. More of the Bill Michaels Show right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ganadella from Pella and the Title Tones. Game day train, take 47.
I'm leaving.
Leaving.
On a game day train to Tattletone.
Leaving on a game day train. What did Gina get us into?
Come on, Leroy, Wayne, Tausch, we can do this.
I don't know, Gina. I'm just not feeling it.
Same here, Leroy.
Yeah, like what's our motivation?
Well, with chilly winds sneaking in, Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can replace those leaky, stuck, and squeaky windows and doors, and we install year-round.
I was thinking more like matching crushed velvet jacket.
Ooh, in green and gold?
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking.
Listen, how about if we offered Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin fans 12 months, no payments, and no interest?
Maybe.
Plus 20% off installation.
Yeah, that's more like
Now we're cooking with gas.
But only through November 30th. Set your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
woo woo.
Ooh, that was good. Good woo woo.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on this Friday, getting you ready for the Packers and the Seahawks, Badgers and Northwestern this weekend. You got college hoops, Bucks basketball. You got all kinds of things happening. Say hi to our buddy Mike, Mr. Quez, Brewer Mike as he's known, saying hi. Tyler says, why didn't Rodgers run it in last year in the NFC Championship game? The end zone was wide open. Tyler, it's been something we've been debating for a long time now. I know. Ben says, seeing that the Dolphins won last night, do you really think that the Ravens are a threat to the Packers? Yeah, I do. Again, you're looking at a road team that lost on Thursday night. The Packers bucked the trend. It wasn't a big, travel distance, so to speak. Baltimore, when you talk about a plane ride, a private plane ride at that, down to Miami, it's not like you're going across the country. It's just, I think two things are at work here. One is it's a Thursday night and you're a road team. Secondly, they probably took them a little bit light. They've got quarterback issues down there. They've got banged up quarterbacks. I just think, and the fact that the Dolphins defense has been playing better and better as of late, I think they just overlooked the Dolphins. Dolphins blitzed the hell out of Lamar Jackson last night. He just didn't have an answer. And Lamar Jackson, quite frankly, hung on to the ball too long. He was looking to run, and he played some bad quarterback last night. Now, Miami had something to do with that, but he was a guy, he was hell-bent on hanging on to the football. He was going to do something with it that was going to put him on a highlight reel against what he considered to be a bad team. And instead, they made him eat it. And made him eat it in costly places. Thomas says the end zone was not wide open for Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, it kind of was. Now, whether or not he would have made it to the end zone, that's a different story. Would he have gotten in? Maybe, maybe not. But he would have been on what? The 2-yard line, 1-yard line? He could have gotten there. You can argue that all day long, Thomas. But instead of being 4th and 8, 4th and 12, or whatever the hell it was, it would have been 4th and 1 or 2. And the decision to go for it would have been a lot easier. He had an opportunity and he chose not to. It's that simple. And we just saw him against the Cardinals take off and run and take a couple of hits near the goal line. Didn't get in, but take a couple of hits near the goal line. If he'd have done that in the NFC Championship game, again, it'd have been 4th and 1, 4th and a half foot, 4th and 2 at the most. Maybe it changes then. Again, they would have tried to pass the ball. I mean, that's what they do because he's never going to plunge it in. Mark says, do you think that Odell Beckham Jr. really considered the Green Bay Packers? I don't. Not for what he signed for. I really don't. I don't think when word got out that what he ended up signing for in LA, he did nothing. I'll say this, he never considered the Packers. Because he signed for what, $4.25 million is what the deal is? $500,000.
$1.5 plus incentives,
right?
Is what I saw.
Yeah, $1.5 million, 500,000 signing bonus, 750,000 for the rest of the season, and another $3 million available in team-based incentives for how they finish the regular season and the postseason. And it could be a deal up to $4.5 million. There's no way the Packers were paying that. I don't think he ever intended to come to Green Bay. And now the worst part about it is a team that was already good has gotten better with the addition of Von Miller. And then later in the week, they get better with the addition of Odell Beckham Jr. And you still have to face them. They come into Lambeau Field in a couple of weeks. You still have to face them. So not only was it you didn't get them, but now you got to face them on top of it. I still think the Packers can win, don't get me wrong, but now you got to face them. And you better hope that at that point in time, maybe, just maybe, You might have. My gut tells me you're not going to get Jair back until after the bye. It was good to see him this week, but I don't think you're going to get him back until after the bye. So, which means this weekend you're not going to have him. Next weekend you're not going to have him. Not going to have him against LA. Most likely he returns, if he's healthy with that shoulder, against the Bears on December 12th. So you're not even going to have, not that Odell Beckham Jr., like we've talked about, is some kind of, oh my God, he's an incredible baller. Okay. He is what he is. But now you got him, Cooper Kupp, who was their number one by far. They've already got some good wide receivers there. So when you think about Matthew Stafford and the weapons he has to throw to, Van Jefferson, another solid one. Was it Robert Woods? And now you've got Odell Beckham Jr. on top of that. Not a bad group of guys to throw to. Sony Michel in the backfield. And you got a decent tight end in Tyler Higbee. So they're coming in really, really solid. And Sean McVay's feeling it. They feel like they've got something going here. You still have Aaron Donald, Von Miller now, Leonard Floyd, Sean Robinson, great gains up front. You got some guys that can get after the quarterback. You got some beef in the middle. Troy Reeder at your inside. Robert Rochelle, your left corner, who they just picked up this year in the draft. He's solid. Jalen Ramsey. They got a hell of a defense. And you're right. Joseph said the Rams are going to be a great test for the Packers at home. That team is loaded. You are 100% correct. And they just got a little bit better. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. Today, by the way, we're going to talk with John Boyle. He covers the Seahawks for Seahawks.com. He's going to join us in the last hour of the show. Mike Clemens will be here later on today as well. So we got that coming up. So we got a lot going on. Zach Heilprint's going to join us today. We'll talk with him about the Badger matchup. Badgers getting ready to take on Northwestern. Northwestern's just always pesky. Not saying the Badgers are going to lose because I think the Badgers are going to win the game, but just Northwestern's always been pesky. So we'll discuss that coming up here a little bit later on in the program today as well. 877-867-1670. Mark says OBJ never intended to come to Green Bay. He used the Packers as a chip, and we should boo the hell out of him when he comes to town. I'm going to be wondering what the crowd's going to be like, and we'll remind you the entire week leading up to that game at Lambeau Field coming up on November 28th. Oh, yeah. That week, though, that's going to be a goofy week because that week's Thanksgiving week. That'll be kind of an in and out, family week, focusing on the turkey and on the food and all that kind of good stuff. And, you get into some of that holiday stuff when it comes to Thanksgiving, and you got the end of high school football. You've got the beginning of college football and bowl weeks and stuff coming up, and college hoops and the NBA are fully underway. The NHL is fully underway. We got all that going on. And then it's going to be that's right. God, holy mackerel. About that here that week. Dan says, why don't the Packers re-sign Tyler Ervin to return kicks and special teams? He didn't do a bad job last year. Did Tyler Ervin land anywhere? Why am I thinking he ended up going to Dallas? I don't think he went to Dallas. I think didn't he go? Did he go?
Free agent?
Is he a free agent? Okay. Well, depending on the shape that he's in, they can bring back Swerve and Ervin, but then you got to take a roster spot. Who are you going to bump out? It's not like you can just pick him up and you don't have to let anybody go. Once you pick him up, you got to make a roster spot for him. Who are you going to send packing? That's the next question. If you have that extra space that you can say, here's the true upgrade, do it. the Amari Rodgers experiment at returning kicks and punts, he was actually starting to get it a little bit before the last terrific, I say that sarcastically, performance happened. But as far as returning kickoffs, not as fond, we'll say. And he's actually had more than a few drops throughout the season, not just in this last game. He's actually bobbled a few early on this year as well. But that's kind of to be expected. I mean, you're a rookie coming into this league, and it's a little bit different than it is returning kicks and punts in college. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, that's the phone number to do so. Phone lines are wide open, by the way. Give us a shout. 877-867-1670. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Love our friends from Bud Light. Thanks so much for being a part of the program. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes.
That's good.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes.
The one thing he did say that was like a light. He said, he's like, I come home, I get up, and I go out, well, I don't understand.
Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute.
The old adage is,
Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I agree. She's going to get a rude wake-up call. And you, the one thing about it is that you're right on. If she
sometimes I get a good feeling. Yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No. I get a good feeling. Yeah. Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling. Yeah.
Man, it's a blowing outside. Then again, if you're outside, I don't need to tell you that, but today is one of those raw days. I mean, the other day when it was pouring down rain, it was one of those days, but today, man, it's outside blowing and flurrying and a mix of rain and snow and blech. And the sad part about it is that this weekend I have to get the coverings and such out and take apart the tiki bar. So that's the official end of summer for me. And I held on as long as I could, but can't do it anymore. Do they have services, by the way, that clean up yards? Ben, now you live in an apartment, right?
I do, but
okay.
Isn't that just landscaping?
Yeah, but see, my yard, like last year when we didn't have a lot of rain and when the leaves fell off the trees, they just kind of blew away. I never really had to do anything. This year, not only did the leaves blow, but it seems like everybody's tree blew into my yard. So it's covered. And I got a big tree in the front yard that just covers the grass. And it's really big leaves, too. It's a really thick, big maple tree. So if I leave the leaves there over the winter, it'll just kill my grass. And when I've had pickup trucks in the past, and I don't have a truck right now, but when I've had trucks in the past, I was always able to rake up the leaves and then take them to the local dump and then dump them. So I always clean my yard up. This year, everything was weird. The leaves fell late. It was, the weather was weird on days that I could cut the grass or I wasn't home. I was traveling a lot. It just, things got kind of like snowballed, pardon the pun, and caught up with me. And all of a sudden I'm looking out, it's 36 degrees. It's got flurries in the air. My yard is covered in leaves. And I'm thinking, oh my God, my yard work and stuff, I never finished. So I didn't know. And I wondered if there was like people that just come out and clean up leaves. Because if they just clean up the leaves, I can do the rest. But I have nowhere to go with the leaves. I can rake them, but what am I going to do with them?
Yeah, they got everything on Craigslist, I feel like.
But I wanted to know if there's like somebody that comes and not only cleans the yard up, but then takes it away. I don't know.
I've always lived in the concrete jungle. I've never dealt with a yard or frankly had one.
Well, I like that idea because I'd love to just asphalt and astroturf my yard. I wouldn't mind doing that, but I got to have a place for Elmo to go. So for the dog to run around, it's you got to have grass and open space. And you know what? In the summertime, I do enjoy the yard work. I enjoy cutting the grass and I enjoy, pruning the bushes and the rose bushes and all that. So I do enjoy that. There's some kind of peace and serenity in all of that. But yeah, I kind of looked outside and I'm thinking everything just got to me. It got past me this year. We did so much traveling. Every weekend we were gone. So when I had the time to do it, it's like, crap, it's over. Tommy says, I'm pretty sure you can buy almost any service. I got to find that. Got to see if there's anything in this area that does that. I would assume there is, but I've never done it, so I couldn't honestly tell you. 877-867-1670. The services of Odell Beckham Jr. They have gone to L.A. What does this mean for the Green Bay Packers, if anything? As Mark writes, Mark says, we were used. As fans, we were led to believe that he was going to come here. The Packers were again one of the teams in talks with the big name free agent. And again, the Packers let us down. I blame Brian Gutekunst. He and Russ Ball have screwed this thing up so badly that they can't afford anyone. And therefore, we can't buy that extra piece to take us over the top. Now, they can't sign everybody. So on one hand, you can say, yeah, was the offer genuine? If he'd have taken it, it would have been. But I think what Odell Beckham Jr. did was say, hey, the Packers are willing to pay me this, which was the veterans minimum, 800 and something thousand. They could have afforded it. So instead, the Rams said, well, we'll give you $1.5 million, but you have the ability to earn a hell of a lot more. Packers could have done that, but they didn't want to kind of strap themselves should they have an injury or such down the road. Understandable. But when you look at this, when you say they've screwed this up so bad, what have they screwed up? You know, everybody wants them to pay Devontae Adams. Right now, they can't. Everybody wanted them to pay Bakhtiari. They did. They've restructured Bakhtiari. Oh, my God, you can't lose at Arias. He's your premier pass rusher. They paid him. Now he's been hurt, but they paid him. Man, we'd love to get Aaron Jones back. Aaron Jones came back on a deal, a team-friendly deal. Got him back, though. Got him back. Got to pay Jair. They're going to pay Jair. Right now, they can't afford to. They got to figure things out. You got to pay Aaron Rodgers, the best quarterback in the National Football League. Now, the whole thing about this, I have to be the highest paid stuff, I think is garbage. I think there has to be a reality there for any quarterback, not just Rodgers, but for any quarterback. When you start chewing up that kind of money, you're screwing yourself. And I think fans have to understand that now, too. But when you look at, bringing Big Dog back, an aging veteran, got to keep him around. Got to pay Tanyan. Got to pay him. Got to keep that backup guy, Lucas Patrick. Got to keep him around. Now, the bringing back Randall Cobb for $9 million, what might not have been the best, but at least he's right now tutoring Amari Rodgers, the up-and-comer. Got to make the Preston Smith deal work. They did. Then they bring in Devondre Campbell. That's one of the best moves ever. Got to pay Kenny Clark, right? Can't let Kenny Clark walk. Got to pay that man. So they've paid these players a substantial portion of money. Aaron Rodgers being the largest chip in the basket. Everything you wanted them as a fan to do, they've done. The problem is all that money begins to add up. And you know what that means? The more that it adds up, the less you have to spend. That's where they're at right now as a team. 877-867-1670. So I get it. I mean, it's easy to point at the general manager and go, that's a disingenuous offer. But that's all they had. There wasn't a whole lot more in the coffer. Sean says they is paid, end quote, at their position really get you, especially when you do it to all of the core positions, right? I 100%.
The Rams have damn near 7 of them.
Right? And the Rams are getting it done. Now, look, you can pay guys and push money down the road and all of that kind of stuff. Okay?
That's what they did, and now they have 1 draft pick this year. I think it's in like the 4th round.
That's the other thing is they don't have draft picks left. The Rams are like, you're looking at the Rams, that's the Rams. It is what it is. That's why they're pushing their chips to the middle of the table. That's the reason I thought to myself that the Packers would do that. And because the Packers know, if you're not getting Aaron Rodgers back, this is it. And even if you do get him back, this is not going to be the same. This is not going to be the same team next year. It's not even going to come close to looking the same. You're going to need to move on from some of these guys. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. give us a shout. You have to understand that when you keep everybody and you sit there and go the woulda, coulda, shoulda game and, they should have kept this guy, they should have kept that guy. Well, it all comes with money. You can't pay everybody. And that's what the NFL is supposed to be. A league where you can't pay everybody. Free agents go out. Teams that are up and comers get those free agents. They take them over the top, and everything then becomes ebb and flow. Okay? Bad teams get good. Good team gets bad. That's what it's supposed to be in the NFL. What we've had is back-to-back 30-plus years of quarterback play that's been fantastic. That's kept this team above water. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers held a light workout outdoors as they installed the game plan against the Seahawks. David Bakhtiari was taken off the PUP and is back on the 53-man roster. We watched him at work blocking and testing that knee, recovering from a torn ACL. Elton Jenkins was asked, will he move from left tackle back to left guard or maybe take over at center?
It's still a question that we trying to figure out. So, just wait until Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whichever day, we make that decision and we'll get it done.
Matt LaFleur says he's planning on getting Aaron Rodgers back from his COVID quarantine on Saturday and having him start Sunday against Seattle.
I do think it's a good opportunity for Jordan to continue to get those reps that he wouldn't necessarily get. And then Aaron was fully involved and quite interactive with us in the meetings.
And Devontae Adams was asked, how did Jordan Love hold up at quarterback in his first NFL start against the Chiefs?
I feel like he handled it really well. I'm sure he wishes he would have played a little bit better, but it's his first opportunity in the game. I don't know how he measures up to the Brett Favres and Aaron Rodgers of the world as far as their very first appearance in a game. Trying him as a young quarterback, and I liked his poise in the huddle is really what I was most impressed with. I like to think I grew as a player as I got more experience, and same with Aaron Rodgers and Dan Marino and whoever else was in there at quarterback. It's a tough position, so I'm happy with what he did though.
In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Thank you, Michael. We'll hear from Mike Clemens a little bit later on today in the program. Last hour of the show, as a matter of fact. It's brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable, and a mile from Lambeau Field. Perfect for a family stay as well. And the Bay Family Restaurant features home-style cooking 7 days a week. That's the Bay Motel, South Military Avenue in Green Bay. Call them today for reservations. 920-494-3441. 920-494-3441. And you can check them out online as well at baymotelgreenbay.com. That is baymotelgreenbay.com. Our buddy Steve says, happy Friday. Did you see that the Brewers hired a hitting coach team in Ozzie Timmons and Connor Dawson? He said, I don't know anything about either, but in David Stearns I trust. Perhaps they can get Yelly turned around and cut down on the alarming amount of strikeouts. I did see that. They hired the hitting team. I don't know if there's like a specialty to each. If one is an analytics guy and one is a physicality guy, I don't know, but that's interesting. They didn't hire a hitting coach. They hired a hitting team. Good stuff. As far as the Packers are concerned, he said, I have a mixed feeling about them not landing OBJ. One thing is for certain, it will make for a great storyline November 28th at Lambeau Field. The game is sure to be flexed to the 7:25 kickoff time. How soon tomorrow will we figure out if Aaron Rodgers can be cleared? If he is back, I think he outduels Russell Wilson and keep him 0 at Lambeau. Packers win 34-23 with Aaron throwing 3 touchdowns and the Packers defense creating a couple of turnovers. Have a great weekend. That's our buddy Steve in Ridgefield. Steve, good stuff. When you talk about Aaron Rodgers, what he's going to do tomorrow, as far as him being cleared, I don't know what the timing of all of that. My assumption is that they have team walkthrough and such on Saturday. And then for him to be back with the team out of quarantine, he needs to test. So my assumption is tomorrow morning early, he'll test with the team. First opportunity, he tests with the team tomorrow. I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe he has to have 2 cleared tests. So maybe he tests today, and then tomorrow will be the final test to make sure he's cleared. I don't know for certain. But my assumption is he's going to test early tomorrow and then get back in the building, get back with the team as they do walkthroughs and such tomorrow. Then they have they all stay together at the team hotel tomorrow night before playing in the game on Sunday. So I might put it this way. If you're walking around and everybody knows where the team stays in Green Bay, but if you're walking around over there at the team hotel and you see Aaron Rodgers walking in the door, then you know he's been cleared because he can't go back with the team until he has cleared. Mike writes in the email inbox, he said, hey, Bill, great show, great discussion on 4th down and short. I've been saying this for years. Why do the Packers not just plunge it in with their quarterback? We see Brady do it. Now we saw Tua do it. I don't understand what the apprehension is for the Packers never to do this, whether it's under McCarthy or LaFleur. Rodgers does the same thing. Shotgun, pass, pass, pass. That's from Mike. I just wanted to point it out because there is another brand of football. There is another belief. There is another way to do it. And we've seen it. We've seen it done to futility, and we've seen this team settle. And I don't understand it. And the logic and the explanation is all crap. It's all crap. It really is. Offensive linemen want to be looked at. They want to be looked in the eye and say, go get me a yard. I'm right up your butt. Go get me a yard. Collapse, dive, plunge, submarine, whatever you got to do, get me a yard. And I don't understand why the Packers are so apprehensive to do it. Because if I'm an offensive lineman for the Packers, I'm thinking to myself, my coach has zero belief in my ability to get a yard. And especially on 1st and goal from the 1. And you drafted A.J. Dillon. So even if your quarterback doesn't do the dive, you mean to tell me that A.J. Dillon with the giant thighs and the guy that is going to be quadzilla, calfzilla, legzilla, whatever the hell he's going to be, that he can't plunge through not once, not twice, but 3 straight times? I think that's a sad state of affairs, and it's lame. Just my opinion. Jesse says, coming soon to Lambeau Field near you is going to be the ultimate raspberry, which, if you know what the raspberry is, for Aaron Rodgers. He continually lets us down. This year will not be any different. They're going to get back to an NFC championship game only to falter and fail, and he will walk away having 6 attempts and only 1 championship to show for it, and then blame everybody else. Boy, you talk about a way to end an hour. That is a loaded email of pessimism right there. Pessimism and dripping sarcasm. But if he gets you to yet another NFC championship game, think how spoiled as fans we are. Think about that. That would be what, 6 times in 16 years?
That's the McNabb method.
Right? There you go. More to come right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, Odell Beckham Jr. is not coming to Green Bay after taking time yesterday to sign with one of 2 teams, the Packers or the Los Angeles Rams. Odell chose to team up with Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and a studded defense in L.A. The Packers now turn their attention to the Seattle Seahawks, who they welcome into Lambeau Field this Sunday for a 3:25 kickoff. And the earliest that quarterback Aaron Rodgers could be cleared to play would be Saturday. But number 12 has been in Zoom meetings for the game plan. Here's more from head coach Matt LaFleur.
It's been going great. The communication's been there. You know, he's been in every meeting. He's been engaged. So it's just he's not with his guys out on the field. That's the dynamic that you never know. But we're very fortunate to have a guy that a ton of reps under his belt as a ball. So we're pretty confident, provided he checks out well, that he can go out there and play at a high level.
To college football, Wisconsin has lost its leading season. Lucy, who's third Rutgers, will unfortunately end his year. The Badgers are back in action this Saturday as they host Northwestern tomorrow for an 11 o'clock kick.
From the kennel to the coop, whatever the season, Fleet Farm has everything to keep your animals happy and healthy. From training your pup to sit season to mastering those retrieval skills season. From clipping your horse for competition season to keeping the backyard well-fed season. And of course, loving your pets like family season. There's a reason people say, if Fleet Farm doesn't have it, you don't need it. Because we have it all. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
The Milwaukee Brewers have hired 2 new hitting coaches to replace Andy Haynes, Ozzie Timmons from the Tampa Bay Rays, as well as Connor Dawson from the Seattle Mariners organization. And finally, Wisconsin basketball will host the Green Bay Phoenix tonight at the Kohl Center for a 7 o'clock tip, and they will also be honoring former head coach Bo Ryan at halftime. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome back Hour number 2, Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Hopefully you're enjoying the day. Now, who was it here? James says, according to the NFL Network, Rodgers does not need a negative test. To play. COVID remains in the system as your body clears it out. Aaron needs a conditioning test, assuming he completed his 3-day ramp up. I don't know. All I know is he has to be, quote, cleared to play, end quote. He has to be cleared to play. That's what was stated. So, now I don't know what the test specifically is. All I know is they do what they call a COVID test. I couldn't honestly tell you, but he can't just walk back in the building. So, you know. Otherwise, they wouldn't say he needs to be cleared to play. Right? Correct. What else do we have here for you? Oh, here's some news. So, Tiger Woods, by the way. Now, the last time we have not seen, nobody has seen Tiger Woods. Yeah, there's been a couple of pictures taken of him at his son's golf match, I think, and his daughter's soccer game. But we have not seen him hardly at all. In the meantime, Justin Thomas, who does a podcast, has seen him and said that he looks okay, you know, but after the significant crash and injuries that he suffered, he's, you know, not really ready to do it. He didn't give us any insight as to whether or not he, like, Tiger's playing golf or anything like that, which I can't imagine he is. But the fact that he could possibly be back, because he's got a charity golf event that he does in the Bahamas in January. There's some talk that he's going to be at that. That'll be the first public appearance of Tiger Woods since the accident, that he could be there for that. But Thomas said, and which I thought was rather interesting, says, quote, he doesn't strike me as a guy who's played at home, meaning played golf at home, and he's shooting a bunch of 75s and 76s, and he's going to be like, okay, I'm going to give Augusta a try this year. That's not really going to be him, at least not from my understanding, what I know of him. So I don't know if that means that he's actually playing golf again, or if he starts to play golf and he's shooting 75s and 76s, that he's going to say, okay, I'm back. So I don't know which direction he was going there, but at least Justin Thomas did go visit him in Orlando at his estate and said that, you know, he's okay. He's seen him standing with his kids. He's seen him, you know, be at different, private things, events, but nothing that would indicate Tiger is ready to come back. But he reiterated time and again that he knows there's a pretty good chance that that was the last chance he really would ever have, meaning the back surgery last year, before that of making another run. But at the same time, I know how determined he is, and I know he's going to do whatever he can to at least try to give something back again. Obviously, I hope he does. But at the same time, as I said after the accident, as long as he can be a dad and normal with that again, that's the number one priority. And the rest of this, the rest of this is a bonus. He said, quote, he's still his sarcastic ass self, so nothing has changed there. So I'm glad to see that he's still chipper as always. And then he's doing well, quote, all things considered. So I don't know if we'll see. I don't know if we'll see Tiger Woods anytime soon. Maybe not on a golf course. I mean, other than maybe just riding around in a cart or walking around shaking hands. But that's the Tiger update. So, Maxie says what Aaron Rodgers has to do is pass the COVID protocols. You got to take a conditioning test and get a physical to make sure that, okay. Which, yeah, okay. You're not going to test negative for COVID. It's not the swab up the nose thing. I don't know what specifically it is they do, but I know they do the EKG. They do the check. It's kind of like a physical. They just give you the physical, make sure you're good to go, make sure you're not showing any signs of COVID, no symptoms. I think they still test you, but it's not like if you still contain the COVID virus that you cannot play because you've been incubated and quarantined for that period of time. So that's what it is. It's like, who cares? Who cares what it is? As long as he tests out of it and he's good to go come Sunday, who cares? Who cares what it is? And then he doesn't have to test again until the NFC Championship game, I think, is the next time he has to test. 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, by all means, do so. This is from Jesse, who says, by the way, Jesse says, do you think Aaron Jones is going to get more of a dose of passes out of the backfield now that Robert Tonyan is down? We haven't even talked about the X's and O's of this team moving forward without Robert Tonyan, but having Devontae, having Lazard, having MBS back, getting David Bakhtiari back, having Aaron Rodgers under center. It seems like there's this mood of despair regarding the Green Bay Packers because they didn't get Odell Beckham Jr. And it's quite the opposite. This team, had that never arose, had we never thought that Odell Beckham Jr. was even on the open market, we'd still feel unbelievably confident coming into this contest on Sunday with Aaron Rodgers back under center. Hell, I'd feel pretty confident with this team if Jordan Love was under center. Now, they're not going to go toe-to-toe with Russell Wilson and blow him out, but I feel pretty good because the defense is playing well. The good news was that you got Kingsley Keke back after the concussion symptoms, and you got Kenny Clark back. So I'm happy about that. With the defense playing better, if you clean up some of the special teams problems and the fact that Jordan Love got into a little bit of a rhythm at the end of that game against Kansas City, it's not bad. It's not terrible. It's not dominating. It's not a sure thing, but it's not awful. It's not sinking into the abyss. I would have felt good about it because Seattle, while their defense is porous, they give up a lot of yards, but what they don't give up is a lot of points. They're pretty stout in the red zone, and their third down proficiency to get off the field is pretty good. But between the 20s, they give it up quite a bit. Their defense is not great. They're good, but they can give up big plays. So I felt good about this coming into the contest, regardless of whether or not Aaron Rodgers was back. But with Aaron Rodgers back, yeah, it's almost a sure thing that they're going to get the win and move on. And then after that, you go in and take on a very lackluster and sinking quickly Vikings team. Now, the one thing I will say about the Vikings is this. That game coming up next week is a huge game for the Vikings. Huge. You know why? First of all, the Vikings are on the road this week. The Vikings are taking on the Chargers. Most likely going to take a loss. All right? Vikings go to 3-6. Their season's over. They go to 3-6, 9 games in. They have 3 games of victory. That's it. Season's over. So if they beat the Packers, that's kind of their Super Bowl. That's Zimmer somewhat hanging on to his job. They lose to the Chargers, to the Packers. They're 3-7, and they've lost to the Packers. Their division's over. Their season's over. They start packing it in. They've got a problem with their running back being accused of the assault, the imprisonment. They got all kinds of issues. And the guy that Zimmer wanted, and Kirk Cousins, that was going to lead this team, that step beyond that NFC Championship game, taking them to a Super Bowl, would have been a dismal failure. A lot of money for a guy that we all knew had never won a playoff game coming into that situation. Remember? He had not won a playoff game. He's won one. That's it. So that's their Super Bowl, man. That's why that game up at US Bank Stadium concerns me. It's not because I don't think the Packers can win, because I certainly think the Packers can win. But you are going to get the absolute balls out best shot of the Vikings in that contest. And you're going to get it twice as hard if the Vikings get a win this weekend. Because if the Vikings get a win and go to 4-5, and they start to feel like, hey, wait a minute, we can maybe make a little bit of a run. We can climb back to 500 against the Packers. You're going to get an even more inspired shot. But you're going to get a desperation shot next week if they lose to the Chargers. So either way, that's not a sure thing by any stretch of the imagination. 877-867-1670. Shoot us an email, shoot us something, call us, whatever it happens to be, your opinion, your thought. ESPN Steve says, if the Packers fans are that desperate, Des Bryant's still available and healthy. That I agree. I don't think Des Bryant is coming to Green Bay. Let's just say that. You know why? Because Packers aren't offering Des Bryant anything. Des Bryant just kind of went away. Just kind of faded off into the sunset, didn't he? It was like, Des, see ya. That was the end of it. Bang. Gone. Whoop. Over. This one is, who's this one? This is from John. John says, I don't care what Aaron Rodgers does on or off the field as long as he plays well. Okay, John. John, then you care what he does on the field. I don't care what he does on the field or off the field as long as he plays well on the field because he's on the field. That's kind of, is this John Madden sending me a text? Is that, or an instant message? Is that what it is? Oh, man. That's awesome. Oh, good gosh. Shelly, I think the key to the games down the stretch is going to be A.J. Dillon. He is a big, strong running back, and with 5 of the next 8 games at home in inclement weather at Lambeau Field, the run game is going to become even more vital. As much as we want to talk about Aaron Rodgers being the best in the league, he's going to need a run game to back him up. Good point. We all know it, but good point. Just a good reminder, Shelley. Just a good reminder. And what? Brett Favre will be Brett Favre, according to Rick. There's a guy, Brett Favre. He's being Brett Favre because, you know, he's Favre. He's Favre. You're killing me. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. I said, hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Yeah, yeah.
Put it in the pocket. How are we looking? Glad to have you. The Bill Michaels Show continues on. And just having a good day today. It's a Friday. It's a crappy Friday. We all know that. Is what it is. Kind of that crappy day. That's okay. Getting ready for football this weekend. What you got going on tonight? What you got happening tonight? By the way, they had some rain and luck and cold and such in Pittsburgh last night. You see that? It's starting to change. We may get a couple of games before it's all said and done that resemble real winter games this coming weekend. You may get a little bit of snow, may get a little rain snow mix. Those games that we all like. Yeah. Good stuff. Like that. Good kind of games. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, feel free. 877-867-1670. Mark writes, what do you think of the chances of the Badgers to get near the top 4 for the college playoffs if they win? No. Okay, let me stop you there. The Badgers are not going to get into the college football playoffs, even if they win the Big Ten. Not going to happen. You're not going to do it with 3 losses. Just not going to happen. It would be nice if you could want to live that dream, but that's not going to happen. Nope. Not going to do it. Now you could probably say, could they get near the top 10, sitting at number 18 right now? Sure, they could. What would be, Ben, when it comes to the Badgers, if the Badgers ended up, say, winning out and beat Ohio State? What do you figure? 9th in the country, 7th in the country, something like that?
Something around there. Depends what other teams in the Big 12 and those conferences do.
Yeah.
I think the ceiling's a Rose Bowl right now.
With 3 losses.
That's what they had in 2019.
Yeah. With 3 losses, you're going to get near the top 10. Because right now, every team in the top 10 either has 1 or 0 losses. I can't imagine. Let's see. Say, because you got Wake Forest at 8-1, Baylor at 7-2, Texas A&M at 7-2, Oklahoma's undefeated. You know that's going to change because you got Michigan and Michigan State both on the docket for Ohio State, and Ohio State's only got 1 loss. If they beat those 2 teams, both of those teams are going to have 2 losses. Michigan beat Wisconsin, so you would assume that Michigan would stay at least ahead of Wisconsin if that's the only other loss that Michigan takes along the way. So Michigan could end up like 8. The Badgers will be right around, if they win out and win the Big Ten, they'll end up right around number 11 or 12, something like that, I think, before it's all said and done. But you're looking for Auburn to lose, NC State to lose, Ole Miss to lose, BYU, Baylor. You can go through that list. Wake Forest has fallen. Wake Forest has 1 loss, and they fell 3 spots. They're not even going to sniff the top 10. So if the Badgers win out, they're probably right around the top 10, top 8, something like that. And that's pretty good for where they were, considering they started off, what was it, 1-3? and on the road to just a dismal season. And they're 20th right now, by the way, in the AP Top 25. But if they get to the college football playoff rankings and they end up winning out to where they end up winning the Big Ten, they'll probably end up right around number 10. But in the AP Top 25, I could see them being maybe number 11, 12 in the country by the time it's all said and done. That's kind of my thought process. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. What's funny is that Oklahoma, in the AP Top 25, Oklahoma is number 4. In the college football playoff rankings, Oklahoma is number 8. So they're not there. In the AP Top 25, Cincinnati is number 2. In the college football playoff rankings, they're number 5. And they're going to continue to descend because their schedule is so weak in the final few weeks of the season. Oregon would be ranked number 5 in the top 25. In the college football playoff rankings, they're number 3. Ohio State is sitting at number 4 in the college football playoff rankings, but they're number 6 behind Oregon and Oklahoma and Alabama and Cincinnati and Georgia in the top 25. And the team that Cincinnati beat, which was Notre Dame, in the top 25 is sitting at number 7. Meanwhile, they're number 9. That's behind Michigan, Michigan State, and Oklahoma in the college football playoff rankings. It's a really interesting conundrum. But and by the way, the Badgers in the coaches poll are number 24 in the country after not being ranked last week. So yeah, to say that they're going to get into the top 4, no, that's not going to happen. But they have a legitimate shot at getting near the top 10. But the top 4, that ended with the first couple of losses of the season. That's simply not going to happen. And by the way, the Badgers are favored in the contest coming up on Saturday. That's a noon kickoff at Camp Randall. And the pregame festivities on our flagship station, which is out of Madison, Rowdy, Ebo, are you going to be there, Ben? You going to be there as well?
No, I have a lot of buddies in town this weekend.
Okay. So in other words, you're going to be in the area, but you're going to be drinking.
Correct.
Okay.
It's also Wisconsin Northwestern. You know, you can't really be in a clear state of mind to enjoy an ugly game like that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So, but by the way, the pregame festivities begin on Saturday morning. Listen to Ebo, listen to Rowdy and the whole gang live from the Red Zone in Madison. So if you're heading out to the game, stop by and say hi to Ebo and the boys. 877-867-1670. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue, burnpitbbq.com. I got to admit, I have been hankering for some of it. Just the other day, I stopped down to Robert's Specialty Meats, picked up a rack of ribs, did a little smoking. So good. A little smoking, little ribs, and threw some Burn Pit on there. Burn Pit, they got all kinds of different flavors, but they got a spicy barbecue sauce. Oh, it's so good. So good. Mouth-watering good. Love that stuff. And they have rubs now. They have hot sauces now. Hot sauces go good on eggs, too, if you're an eggs person. I like to put hot sauce on eggs. But the two big reasons. One, they're right here in the state of Wisconsin. Number one, that's the reason to stick with them. Secondly, they're veteran-owned. They've been around a little over a year now. These guys started with a dream, and they continue to strive to make it bigger and better, and they keep donating back. They keep having these fundraisers, donating to veterans' causes, give back to them, to a small business that's trying to get it done right here in the state. Go to burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com. Burn Pit Barbecue. Those guys over there are great. This is from Julia. Julia says, have all the faith in the Badgers. Next year's going to be huge. Who's going to be the quarterback? Is Graham Mertz the quarterback next year, Ben? They got that kid coming in. He's apparently all that in a bag of chips, too. And I can't remember the kid's name off the top of my head. But my sense would tell me you have to open it up to a competition. Unless Graham Mertz lights it up between now and the end of the season, you have got to open it up to a quarterback competition, don't you? Wouldn't you figure that? Now, Graham Mertz is the incumbent, But don't you figure unless he lights it up against Northwestern, Nebraska, and Minnesota, gets to a Big Ten championship game, lights it up there and lights it up in a bowl game, you got to assume there's going to be a quarterback competition in Madison next year, right?
Yes, and I think it's not with the underclassmen. They have a freshman now who's going to be pretty good named Deacon Hill, and they have Miles Burkett, the guy you were talking about, coming in. It would be in the transfer portal. There's guys like Miles Brennan, LSU, Jacob Zeno from Baylor. It's just a lot of quarterbacks it's like a revolving, it's like musical chairs, if you will, in college football right now. So I think they might bring in someone in the transfer portal to compete with Mertz. I don't think he'll be pushed by any of the underclassmen yet. I
think though you got to have an open competition because Mertz, who has now been in the system a couple of years, has been adequate to average at best. Right?
Yes. This recent signs have been good, I guess, but that is very fair to say.
To where the expectation is and what he was billed to be versus the reality of what it is has been a disappointment. But to say that he's an awful quarterback, he's adequate. But to say anything more than that would be a lie. But it's because it's like a first-round draft choice. You expect him to be good. Graham Mertz came in with a lot of pomp and circumstances. You expected him to be really good. This was going to be the next Russell Wilson coming. Only difference is you were going to have him for 4 years. And it just hasn't transpired. So to me, you got to have a quarterback competition, without a doubt. He'll have the job to lose, but if he continues to play like the way he played specifically in the first half of the season, then it's easily going to be lost, in my opinion. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. By the way, speaking of Robert Specialty Meats, great place. Stop down, get the ribs on a stick. Everybody loved them this past week out in Prairie du Chien. Oh, my goodness. It was, everybody came up to me and said, oh, my God, they're fantastic. Where do I get them? How do I get them? I said, go to robertspecialtymeatswaukesha.com. That's robertspecialtymeatswaukesha.com. Get them. That's where you go. Get a hold of Paul Roberts, the whole gang over there. Fantastic people. He is your hometown butcher. Just so good. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about all of this. Get back into some of the Packers chatter. Don't forget, coming up after the top of the hour, we'll talk some more Badgers as well. Zach Heilprint, sports director of the Zone in Madison, going to give us the lowdown on the Badgers. We'll talk a little more football and the preview, getting ready for Northwestern coming up this weekend out at Camp Randall. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show is next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on a Friday, getting you ready for the Packers and the Seahawks. Keys to the game this coming weekend. Keys to the game this weekend. What are they? Keys to the game for the Packers to get a win. 3 things, I think, and it's pretty simple. 3 things. 1, pressure on Russell Wilson. Number 1. Easy enough, right? Number 2, it's going to be crappy. I don't know. What is the weather in Green Bay this weekend? It's not going to be warm. I know that. But the next key is run the ball. Run the football. That's it. And then the third thing is Aaron Rodgers comes back. That's it. That's it. Nothing more. Wow. Sunday, rain, snow mix, high of 38, low of 27. Sunday, high of 38, low of 27, rain, snow mix. Yeah, it's going to be crap. If it's like today, then you run the football. Run it, run it, run it. Aaron Jones outside, A.J. Dillon inside. Get a few passes to Devontae. Get him lathered up since Devontae basically had, 4 passes thrown to him the other day when Jordan Love was in the mix. That's it. Nothing more. 877-867-1670. So that's my keys to the game. There's nothing more than that. Pressure Russell Wilson, run the football, Aaron Rodgers returns. Packers should get a win. I don't doubt this at all. Not at all. This isn't like some deeply integral thing where you've got to do this and no. You've got to have something special. You've got to have some kind of trick play. You've got to key on this guy, key on that. No. This is not a good football team coming into Lambeau Field. They're decent. Don't get me wrong. It's not like they're complete, chumps. And here's one other thing to think about. And we talked about this last night during the huddle, which, by the way, the huddle last night was fantastic. Rob Reichel was awesome. Mike Clemens, whenever Mike's there, and those two guys get going. It's easy for me. I just kind of ask the question, and those two guys go for like 12 minutes, and then we go to break. But one of the things that was brought up is you look at some of the coaches that have schemed and game planned and beaten Matt LaFleur. Some of them are the crafty coaches. And you talk, Sean Payton, Bruce Arians, Kyle Shanahan. Although Kyle Shanahan's looks like he could possibly be on his way out, as they're starting to get rumblings out in the Bay Area right now because, and I hate to say you take away the Super Bowl season because you can't. You got to take that with it all. But prior to and since then has been rather abysmal. They did have the Super Bowl season, but the total body of work has not been lived up to since then. So there's some rumblings there. But you look at some of these coaches. So the craftier coaches, then you got Pete Carroll, have been able to beat Matt LaFleur. Been able to beat him. Mick says, what about Zimmer? Isn't he a crafty coach? No. Zimmer's a good defensive coordinator. When he was the defensive coordinator for Cincinnati, he did a couple of things to Aaron Rodgers, put the pressure on him. But then again, he had the defensive ends to do so. He had a good defense. But he was a really solid coordinator. As a head coach, no. Can't really say that he has been overwhelmingly impressive. And then, by the way, he gets what he wants in Kirk Cousins, and it just hasn't materialized. And it's not necessarily Kirk Cousins' fault. I'm not sitting here blaming Cousins. I'm just saying, when you got a quarterback that you believe is really good, and then you look at his body of work specifically when it comes to the postseason, and the guy doesn't have a win, and since he's come into your organization, and you've had some pretty good teams, he has a total of what, 1? Yeah, that's not the leader you were looking for. It's just not. But you give him credit. I mean, they beat Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, I think, is a really solid head coach. He's beat Mike Tomlin, right? He beat Ron Rivera. Solid coach. They've gotten some wins. They've gotten some good wins. But some of the more crafty coaches have been somewhat problematic for Matt LaFleur. And another one's coming into town on Sunday in Pete Carroll. 877-867-1670. This is from Brett, who says, make sure you're ready for Jamal Adams coming on the blitz. Absolutely. But see, I don't have a ton of worry. You're not going to blitz Aaron Rodgers the way they did Jordan Love. That's just not going to happen. Aaron Rodgers sees it coming. He sees via the personnel. He sees the movement, the eyes. I mean, there's all of that. I never worry about the blitz unless you have consistent defensive end pressure where they can collapse the pocket that way and make him step up and then bring pressure up the middle. I never worry about that because that's not in Aaron Rodgers' DNA. He's smarter than that. You're not going to blitz him and put him under all kinds of pressure. It doesn't happen for Aaron Rodgers. He's smart. He's too smart. Tom says the 3 keys to the game: 1, Rodgers plays; 2, run game needs to be great; 3, D-line gets pressure. I'll go with that. That's kind of along the same lines as I stated. 1, Rodgers plays. 2, they run the ball. 3, pressure on Russell Wilson. That's it. This is from Izzy Bob. He says, consider this. What if Jack Cohn had not broken his foot? Badgers have a good season in 2020, great season in 2021, and Graham Mertz is the heir apparent. We can't change time, but all of this might have been different had Jack not broken his foot. Dare to dream. You're right. Yeah, you wonder if man. Yeah, you wonder. No doubt. Had Jack Cohn not gone down and really, who was just starting to hit his stride. Yeah. Oh, the what if. Well, think about this. At the end of this season for Packers, you can say, what if Aaron Rodgers didn't get COVID? Would the Packers have gotten the number 1 overall seed? Would they have gotten the first round bye? The entire division or the entire NFC would have had to come through Lambeau Field. You know, what happens if the Packers now don't get home field? Their first game's at home. Their second game or the NFC Championship game is on the road. Say you have to go to L.A. Think about this, though. Here's another thought, and I got a buddy of mine who's firmly believing this. Tom Brady leaves New England, goes to Tampa Bay. First team ever to play host city to the Super Bowl and play in the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl on their home turf. Now we're starting a trend. Matthew Stafford, now my buddy's a Detroit Lions fan, but he loves Stafford. Matthew Stafford traded to L.A. L.A. picks up Von Miller. L.A. picks up Odell Beckham Jr. They're stacked. Good defense. Really good head coach. Now they've got additional offensive weapons. They come in, Lambeau Field. They beat the Packers. Therefore, they have the head-to-head. They end up getting the number 1 overall seed. And the Packers then have to go to L.A. to beat them, to play for the right to come back to L.A. to play in the Super Bowl. They get the win over the Packers, and the Rams, not only do they win the NFC Championship game in L.A., but then they also play in the Super Bowl in L.A. That's my buddy's philosophy. I think he's a little bit nuts, but it's not out of the realm of possibility at this point. 877-867-1670. Jeff says, any other huddles coming? Yeah, we're going to do a huddle every Thursday night. Now, next Thursday, I don't know where we're at. I got to get the schedule. Budweiser has not sent me the remainder of the huddles locations. But, yes. So, next Thursday, we're on the road again. So, next Thursday, the 18th. Then, we will be out on the 23rd. The 23rd, that's right before Thanksgiving. So we'll be on the 23rd because I'm leaving town on the 24th. So I won't be back until Sunday the 28th, and that's when the Packers play LA. By the way, they're not going to flex that game, and the reason why, that game that night will be a divisional rival between Cleveland and the Ravens. Unless either team over the next 2 weeks, probably spot in the division. They're not going to flex out of that game. The afternoon game, the regional national game for Fox, but they're not going to be the Sunday night game. Just an FYI, so we know. 877-867-1670. Didn't they get their ass kicked last week by the Titans? They did. You are correct, 100%. They got beat by the Tennessee Titans last week. I didn't, and they Titans beat up on them pretty good, 28-16 in that contest, even with Von Miller. Because Tannehill had the pick. Had he not had the pick, he would have ended up with a quarterback rating right around 100. But he threw the pick. But he only needed it. He was sacked 3. They had pressure on him all day. He was sacked 3 times. I think he was knocked down like 9. But they ran the ball everywhere. Foreman, McNichols, Peterson, Tannehill, Woodside, Johnson, they all took off. Everybody was running the football. I don't know how offensively Tennessee's going to continually get it done, but also don't forget Matthew Stafford threw 2 picks in that game. The turnovers are ultimately what cost them. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. You got something to say, by all means. Don't forget, coming up after the top of the hour, we're going to talk with Zach Heilprint, the sports director of the Zone in Madison. We're going to set up that game coming up this weekend. Tomorrow, noon kickoff, Camp Randall. You got the Badgers and the Northwestern Wildcats. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michael Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michael Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers host the Seattle Seahawks here in Green Bay. Kickoff is 3:25 Sunday afternoon. Packers tight end Dominic Daphne has missed practice this week with a hamstring injury. The Seahawks, coming off their bye, have running back Chris Carson returning, but Packers linebacker Chris Barnes says they prepare for the scheme, not the roster.
He's an elite back. The things that we've seen him do over the years is, been some good things for him. But we prepare like we're facing the Seahawks. Doesn't matter who they bring, we're facing their scheme. Continue to play our ball, continue to play at a high level, fly around, make plays, tackle. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's that running back, who's that receiver, who's that quarterback. We have to go out there and do our job.
On offense, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur says although Seattle has a lot of new players on defense, they're still coached by Pete Carroll with veteran defensive coordinator Ken Norton.
Coach Carroll is somebody I have the utmost respect for. He's been doing it at the highest level, a Super Bowl champion. These guys they're a really good tackling team.
The Seahawks coming back from a bye with a record of 3-5, but Russell Wilson is back at quarterback after surgery on his finger on his right hand. Pete Carroll says the game against the Packers is important.
A huge matchup coming out of the chutes here with Green Bay, and we're going to get 1 week at a time and see how far we can go, and with every intention that we're starting over again.
And the Packers special teams have struggled. Mason Crosby did not miss a single field goal all last season. This year, he's missed 6 in the past month. Packers special teams coordinator Mo Drayton.
The standard is the standard. So when a change happens, it's my job to come up with innovative ways or new ways to make this process happen quicker. Mason Crosby deserves better. Okay? I owe him. We owe him. We're going to make it happen.
That's special teams coordinator Mo Drayton. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Damn straight. Mo Drayton. That's a guy, you know what? And Mo Drayton, when he came to be the special teams coordinator, and he came in with the bravado of kind of like the fist pounding on the podium, and I'm going to do this, and we're going to do this, and this is the way we're going to play, and accepting anything less is just not going to happen, and on and on and on. And now he's saying, and damn it, Mason Crosby deserves better, and that's fine, but it still sucks. You can say it all you want. But I think all of us sitting here today collectively, if we all had our hands out and we were all holding hands together singing Kumbaya, and we were doing kind of, bohemian chants, we would all be thinking the exact same thing. Ooh, special team sucks. Ooh, special team sucks. Ooh, they've always sucked. Nothing's changed. Pound the desk all you want. But special teams not good, to say the very least. 877-867-1670, hit us up. I think, well, you know what? That might not be a bad one of our goals this weekend, is not to come into the postgame show. The Green and Gold postgame show, by the way, immediately following the game between the Seahawks and the Packers. And if you're turning anywhere else, shame on you. Come on, man. But that's one of the things that I hope I'm not talking about this Sunday evening. That's one of the things that I hope we don't have to discuss. Jeff, you're right. He ain't done blank. I can't say that word on the air. He ain't done blank. Because it just hasn't happened. Jeff says also don't forget LA would have to win their division with a better record for the Packers to go there in a playoff game. I think that they have a shot at tying for the top spot in the division. I still think that Arizona's going to take at least one more loss. At least one more. LA, possibly another 1 or 2. But think about it though. Let's just say this is a game that you're going. Now, if they do not win the division, they're not going to host a game. They're going to be a wild card team. And I agree with that. But you're still going to need the win over this team just because of the standings. You can't afford to take another loss and hope that Arizona ends up taking 2 more along the way and you win completely out. It's not, again, not completely a long shot, but it's you really put yourself in a hole. By the way, Matt says, if you check the odds from Vegas, the Rams' odd to win the Super Bowl did not improve when they signed OBJ. That's from our buddy Matthew. No, they didn't. They didn't go up like you would think. Had he come to Green Bay, and honestly, I think it's because of Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is what he is. Good quarterback, not great, but he can still throw the long ball. He's going to make a bad decision every now and then. He's going to give you a turnover every now and then. He's better than Jay Cutler. Okay, Jay Cutler used to be able to throw the long ball with the best of them. He was very smart, very accurate, but he just had a propensity to just throw a stupid pass up every now and then. Just for whatever reason, he just wing it. And you're like, what the hell? Matthew Stafford's better than that. He doesn't do it a lot, but he has done it. Or he'll try to force it into a window, or maybe he just doesn't have that ability. That has happened. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. Phone lines are wide open. We haven't taken a call today. Everybody's emailing. I got so many people emailing today. It's like the emails are just, normally we get 1 or 2, maybe 3, 4 tops, but emails today, we got like 20 of them. It's like everybody's working at home today, just sitting around, didn't want to call or anything. If you want to chime in, do it. 3 keys to the game. Don't forget, coming up after the top of the hour, we're going to talk about the Badgers and the Northwestern Wildcats. Zach Heilprint is going to be joining us, sports director for the Zone in Madison. He'll be here. We'll break down Bucky's big game day tomorrow. And the weather, by the way, look out the window. That's it. It's going to be craptastic, just like it is right now. Going to be a game made for TV, made for the friendly confines of your home, with a fire going right in front of you. But Badger fans will show up. That place will be rocking. You've got some energy now. You got some zoom to you. You know, you got to be feeling good. You've kind of look, the football playoff thing, it's not going to happen. But at least as a football fan, you thought, man, this stinks. This is terrible. People calling for Paul Chryst' job and Mertz to be sat. And, you know, and now that's kind of all just went away. There still are some people that don't necessarily believe in Paul Chryst. But the fact is that they've played much better football. They put the train back on the tracks. Their run game has become better, even without Ches Malusi. Their offensive line, I think, is the biggest change of all. Once things began to get together on the offensive line, pressure on Graham Mertz has become, I don't want to say minimal, but a lot less than what it was. Holes are bigger for the run game. Things are just trending in the right direction. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Hang in there. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Don't forget, at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, all you got to do is go to 855-PELLA-WI, 12 months, no interest, no payments. Right now. 12 months, no interest, no payments. The wind is blowing. The snow is flying. It's here. It's here. And they can come to your house, measure twice, have it manufactured, assemble it, install it all in a short period of time. And then when they install it, they can get it all done in a day. Get a hold of our friends at Pella. Go to PellaWI.com/radio, PellaWI.com/radio, or just call our girl Gina Della from Pella, 855-PELLA-WI. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers back in the field for practice today, their final time before Sunday's game against Seattle. That includes tackle David Bakhtiari. He was activated off the physically unable to perform list this week. But Coach Matt LaFleur says there's still some things that have to happen before he can be active on game days.
We got to get through the week of practice, and you got to string back-to-back days. You got to get into football shape, get multiple reps, try to simulate a drive as best you can, and just see how he responds. And then when he's ready to go, then he'll be in the lineup.
2 other All-Pros also working their way back from injury. Cornerback Jair Alexander dealing with a shoulder injury, but LaFleur says he's making progress.
No, he's been around quite a bit. And the plan is just to try to continue to strengthen and allow his shoulder to heal, and we'll see where he's at. And, you know, it's going good, but, you know, there's still a long way out.
Outside linebacker Zadarius Smith also back surgery, but there's hope he'll be able to return before the end of the regular season. Meanwhile, quarterback Aaron Rodgers can return to the facility tomorrow for the first time since testing positive for COVID. If he clears some medical hurdles, he will be under center on Sunday. Turning to Wisconsin, they're going to take on Northwestern tomorrow. Badgers have won 5 straight and tied for a first in the Big Ten West. Kick is at 11.
They don't repair cracked helmets, cracked teeth, or cracked stadium seats. They do repair cracked windshields. Complete Auto Glass, windshield repair and replacement, windshield camera recalibration, and more. An insurance provider with and a 100% guarantee. Plus, you'll be happy to know you're dealing with a local, family-owned business who understand their Wisconsin neighbors. Complete Auto Glass, repair and replacement. Visit CompleteAutoGlass.com.
Well, the Badgers will take on UW Green Bay tonight at the Kohl Center. They will honor former coach Bo Ryan at halftime of the game. And the Bucs are in Boston. It's where they're going to take on the Celtics tonight. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprint.
Good day to you. Welcome. Bill Michaels Show. Good stuff. We're going to talk with Zach Heilprint coming up here momentarily. Real quick, we still got Mike in Rockford, or we want to get back to him, Ben? Well, let's do this. Let's go to Zach. Zach Heilprint, sports director of the Zone in Madison, joining us on the hotline. Zach, how you doing, buddy?
Fantastic, Bill.
So we're sitting here talking. We had an email before that said, where could the Badgers possibly end up should they win the Big Ten, and move on? And looking at the rankings, I'm thinking if they get near the top 10, that would be an accomplishment for the way they started the season. Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, significantly. I mean, if they were to win out, what would it be? Tomorrow would be 6 straight, so it'd be 9 straight wins.
Yeah.
After starting 1-3, that'd be pretty darn good in the Big Ten title. Yeah, it would get them to the top 10, and it would get them back to the Rose Bowl. I believe. I don't believe the Rose Bowl's a semifinal site this year. I'm not positive on that, but yeah, I mean that. I didn't think we'd be sitting here a month ago sitting them at 6-3. So if they're able to pull off another 4 straight and get this winning streak to 9, that'd be just a remarkable turnaround, and getting the Big Ten title, the first one since 2012.
Mm-hmm.
This may be Paul Chryst's best coaching job if that were to end up to happen.
The loss of Ches Malusi obviously hurts Northwestern, a 1-5 team in conference, 3-6 overall. It's not like you need the best of the best to be able to beat this team. However, Northwestern has always been a pesky team for whatever reason to the Badgers, but more so down there than it is here at Camp Randall. But now what? When you talk about the run game, you lose Ches Malusi. You still have some quality running backs. But to me, the biggest change in this team over the last 4 or 5 weeks has been the fact that the offensive line seems to become more cohesive.
Yeah, it certainly has. Going back to just the Northwestern aspect of this, I went and looked it up. Wisconsin's rivals are what? Iowa and Minnesota, right? Like they have the rivalry trophies and everything. They're 25-6 against them since 2005. Those two teams. They're 6-6 against Northwestern in that same time. So this is a bit of a, and the guys talked about it this week. It's not necessarily a rivalry on that everybody thinks about, but it's a team that has always given them problems. Paul Chryst 3-3 against them. None of the games have been decided by more than 14 points. So I think the average margin of victory is 10. So, yeah, I expect it tighter than I think maybe people are expecting, considering where Northwestern is. But in terms of what they can do to Northwestern, there's very few teams in this country that are stopping the run worse than Northwestern. I think they're 125th in the country. They're giving up like 224 yards a game on the ground. So, but yes, the offensive line has become more cohesive. And it certainly has played a role in this. And it's not just, we talk about the run game. I thought they've been really good in the pass, keeping Graham upright, especially this past week. Like they've come a long way, I think, in terms of pass blocking as well. And I think we saw last week kind of what this offense potentially could be if you get both parts of the game humming at the same time.
One of the things that I've noticed is and you had brought it up, is the pass game. When Graham Mertz is not under pressure and doesn't have to think quickly, he's been able to deliver the ball much better. It's when he gets a little bit of pressure, he gets happy feet and starts to get a little scattered. He'll make a bad read. He won't see a linebacker or a safety. He'll throw it into harm's way. If he's got a little bit of time, he's kind of the highlight reel that we've all watched coming out of high school. Do you agree?
Yeah, and a lot of it is on play action too, right? Like his stats on play action are pretty good, and they were certainly good against Rutgers. And the difference between where he was against Rutgers and where he had been against some other teams, like he had started out pretty well against Army, against Purdue, and against Iowa. Like he started out quite well. He just wasn't able to maintain it. He had that one mistake early against Rutgers on the interception, and then he just took off. And he was 4 for 7 on 3rd and 4th down for 2 touchdowns. Like they have been horrible on 3rd down this year, and they were 7-12, I believe, against Rutgers. Like those are, if they're in manageable situations on 3rd down, they're gonna convert more often when they have to pass, because that's just the way it is in football in general. But what he's been able to do, if he's able to take what he showed consistency wise against Rutgers and push that forward, I don't want to say Wisconsin's offense is unstoppable. It's not. I mean, it's perfectly stoppable, but it just makes it so much more difficult because these wide receivers can make plays. And the best part about last week, outside of converting on 3rd down, he spread the ball around. Chimray got 3 catches. Kendrick Pryor got 4 catches. Jake Ferguson had a couple catches. Even Danny Davis, just the one catch he had, he took for a touchdown. So when he's spreading around, not focusing on one guy, it makes it difficult for a defense.
The talk about the defense. Let's go to that side of the football, who has basically played lights out. I think the only thing that could derail this defense in any way, shape, or form would be mass injury at this point. Everything has been just trending in the right direction. Is there anything that Northwestern does that poses a threat to this defense?
Northwestern's been horrible offensively, especially in conference of late. I don't see anything that they could do. Like, Wisconsin's going to stop the run, and Evan Hall is Northwestern's leading rusher. He's averaging, I think, 6.2 yards to carry, but it's kind of like all or nothing with him. He's got some really long runs, but didn't really have anything against Iowa. I don't envision them running. I've come to the conclusion that them running the ball is just kind of a waste of a down, but you also have to do it because Wisconsin's pass rush has been able to get after it. I think Northwestern, at times, I guess you could say Wisconsin in the past has had trouble with mobile quarterbacks, and Andrew Marty is kind of that. Maybe that affects him, but I just don't. I haven't seen since early in the year, since Jahan Dotson got behind him a couple times for those big plays against Penn State. You haven't really seen them get beat over the top, and so I don't really know where you would attack them, especially if you're Northwestern. I don't know where you would attack them.
Well, that's my question is, what would you do? I mean, I don't.
I don't.
To me, this also. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, what I was going to say is, I mean, last year's game, Northwestern took some shots down the field and got pass interference calls, and there was at least 4. There may have been 4 or 5, and I know that talking to those DBs the week after, they didn't think they were good calls whatsoever. But at this point, sometimes maybe that's the best offense, because that's the only way that they were truly able to move the ball last year against Wisconsin was some shady calls from the officials. So that maybe that's a strategy. I don't know, Bill. This defense is as good as anything that they put on the field. Wisconsin, that is.
That was going to be the next question, because on paper, this seems like it's a no-brainer for the Badgers to walk away and get the win. If this is down in Evanston, I don't feel good about it. But if it's here, I feel a lot better about it, because it just, like, the atmosphere and such is just always better at Camp Randall when they face this team. So I don't see the Badgers in any way, shape, or form losing this game. The only way I see the Badgers possibly starting to falter is if you look at the remainder of the schedule. They got this, then Nebraska, then Minnesota. Maybe they start looking down the road going, hey, we can win out, and all of a sudden you take Northwestern too lightly. Other than that, there's no way they lose this game.
Yeah, they obviously these games have been tight, and both teams have had success. But when Wisconsin's at home, they usually win this game. The only time they haven't won it going back to 2000 is in that controversial game in 2015 when Jazz Peavy caught it and then he didn't catch it apparently. Late in that game, that's the only time that they've lost at home since 2000. So, Wisconsin being at home, you have to feel at least good about that. But I don't envision them looking past them, especially after what happened last year. I heard almost every single defensive guy we talked to on Monday referenced last year and how they have a bad taste in their mouth. And while we don't consider it necessarily a rivalry, they do because they have had such struggles with them. I don't envision them looking past this at all. I think they're going to be certainly locked in based on what happened to last year. And if you think about it, Bill, these two teams have ruled the West since 2016. I mean, it's either been them or Northwestern. Northwestern and Wisconsin has been in the Big Ten title game every single year since 2016. The only difference between the two is that Wisconsin, when they're not there, still a solid team. Northwestern's kind of, it's either really good or really bad, and I think they're really on the bad side of this year. But yeah, I don't envision them looking past them at all.
The one thing, if you look at Hall's numbers, Hall's carries, not huge, but he's still got almost 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. You look at Ches Malusi coming into this game. Now, he's out for the remainder of the season, but if you look at his numbers, being that top rusher, 173 carries, 815 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Hall has gotten really good productivity when he's gotten his hands on the ball, right?
He has, but he's also kind of it's either all or nothing with him. If you look at some of his long runs, he's got a 90-yarder, he's got a 70-some-odd yarder, he's got an 80-yard. Like against Iowa last week, I think he had 41 yards on 13 carries. Wisconsin's defense is better than Iowa's defense stopping the run. He's got big play potential. But every running back that Wisconsin has faced this year has not come anywhere close. Every team they face has not come anywhere close to their average rushing stats this year. And I don't think Northwestern is going to be any different. And going to look at some of Hull's highlights, a lot of the runs, especially early in the year, were up the middle. Wisconsin, it's a waste of a down to run the ball up the middle against Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
It is. No one goes anywhere up the middle against Wisconsin, and a number of Hull's big runs earlier in the year were up the middle.
I look at Helinski's numbers, not terrible, but only 3 touchdown passes on the season. You look at Graham Mertz, he's got 6 touchdown passes. The difference is Helinski really doesn't throw it into a lot of trouble with only 1 pick. It's not like his yardage is huge or anything like that, or his completion percentage is enormous, but he's pretty good with the football when it comes to not turning it over.
He is. I think they're actually going to be going with Andrew Marty tomorrow. Helinski, they went with Andrew Marty last week. More of a dual threat than Helinski, and you're certainly going to need that against a Wisconsin pass rush. And Marty, it was his second career start last week. Threw a touchdown. He also threw 3 interceptions against Iowa. The way Wisconsin's been able to force turnovers these last 3 games. I mean, Bill, they went from, I think we talked about this the other day, they went from -11 to -2. And it's not just simply because Wisconsin's offense isn't turning the ball over. They have in this 3-game stretch. Not a ton, but they have. But they forced just a ton of turnovers. And I would expect Andrew Marty to be under pressure tomorrow and throw some balls up and potentially have some more opportunities to get their hands on the ball. Like, again, right now they're playing at a different level. And they're stopping the run, stopping the pass, getting after the quarterback, taking the ball away. Like, this is, as I said before, as high level of the defenses they've been playing that I can remember here in these since the 3-4 came into existence here at Wisconsin.
Zach, good stuff as always. I appreciate it, and we'll chat again after this one, okay?
Cool. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, buddy. Talk to you later. There you go. That's Zach Heilprint, sports. That's what get him on. Helinski's been the guy that's had the numbers. Marty's the guy that's coming in. We'll see what happens, but this is a good defense. The Badgers only allow, just over 15 points a game. And they're scoring just on average of just under 26 a game, where Northwestern, that's right around the average. All they score is 18 points a game, and they give up 26 a game. So if you go by the averages, the Badgers should walk away with a 10-point win, 25-15, call it a day. Get out. Should be easy. Should be. But for whatever reason, Northwestern's just been that pesky team. I don't know why. Just in the head, I guess. 877-867-1670. If you're a Badger fan, you want to give us a shout, by all means, go ahead. Get back on the Packers chatter. We can do that. A couple of comments about Tiger Woods, as Tiger Woods is now eyeing, anyway, coming up in January, his charity tournament down in the Bahamas. He may be making an appearance. Not that I think Tiger Woods is going to be back anytime soon. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's at least another year away. But that being said, it could mean at least that he is, at least you can find out a little bit about his health when it comes to the possibility of making a comeback. In the meantime, you got the Brewers hire a couple of hitting coaches, not just one. They're so bad, you have to hire a team of hitting coaches to try to help this team out. That's how bad the offense has been over the last couple of years. So there you go. And there's an update, by the way, when it comes to Henry Ruggs and the accident. And I get it that attorneys have to do anything and everything they can to try to defend their client. But this is ghastly. And I'll talk about that when we come back as well. A lot more to Bill after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Sometimes you just have to admit wrongdoing and move on. And everybody that ever needs a lawyer appreciates a lawyer, but this is one that makes your skin crawl. So we all know Henry Ruggs, the wide receiver at the time for the Oakland, or I should say for the Las Vegas Raiders, going 156 miles an hour with his girlfriend in his car, in the Corvette. And he ended up running right square into the back of Tina Tinter's car at on November 2nd that caused the crash, that her car burst into flames. She was killed, and Ruggs and his girlfriend survived. The attorneys for Henry Ruggs in court filings after the video surfaced. Okay, there was a video of Henry Ruggs sitting on the ground, his girlfriend consoling him. Remember, consoling him after what had happened. We've all seen that video, or at least the majority of us have. It came out on TMZ. And other people in the area taking video. And I'd said it at the time when the video came out. I said, look at that car. The Tina Tinter's car was on fire. The most morbid thing about that video is there's a girl that is burned to death, that has died in that fire. It's not about Henry Ruggs and his girlfriend going, oh my God, somebody get help for him, he's passing out. That's not it. It's about there's a girl in that car that's dying or dead. So Henry Ruggs' attorneys have taken that video and said, well, you see, firefighters didn't get there quick enough. They were, quote, slow to extinguish the fire in the vehicle sparked by the crash. Therefore, that's why she died. Firemen, quote, did not attempt to extinguish the fire at Miss Tinter's vehicle for approximately 20 minutes, at which time the entire vehicle was engulfed in flames. The attorney seeking a court order for the Clark County Fire Department records about the crash and the fire said there were no delays in the fire spokesperson for the county said there was no delays in response or in the attack of the fire. The captain on the scene reported that the vehicle was fully involved in a fire upon arrival, and the passenger compartment was not survivable for anyone in there. Remember, her dog died as well. The Tinter family members did not plan to make public comments about her memorials or anything like that. Mark Davis of the Raiders, the owner of the Raiders, was at her funeral memorial service. But they are claiming that firefighters were in a position to extinguish the vehicle fire while it was in its infancy and failed to do so. Therefore, their client should not be. It's disgusting. Because if you saw the video, this happened instantaneously, immediately. Crash, bang, camera comes out. Crash, bang, explosion, camera comes out. The car's engulfed in flames. So my other question would be, well, if you believe that the fire was in its infancy, well, then why didn't Henry Ruggs, who had the ability to get out of his car and walk away, his girlfriend who had the ability to get out of the car and walk away, why didn't they try to help this girl? You know, I mean, not that I really want to get into the arguments of all of this, but this is just slimy. Just say, I'm guilty. I was stupid. I throw myself on the mercy of the court. I can't believe this happened. I'm unbelievably sorry. And show repentance. This is what you come up with, is that the firefighters didn't get there quick enough? It makes you sick. It really does. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. What needs to happen this weekend in Green Bay for the Packers to get a win? Let's go to Mike, listening to us in Rockford, Illinois. Mike, welcome to the program, the Bill Michaels Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Bill. Listen, it's a horrible story. I'm almost 60 years old, but when I was 20 years old, my best friend got killed by a drunk driver. He was driving home from college on a Sunday night. Northern Illinois University. He was going back to DeKalb from the suburbs, and a drunk driver ran him off Interstate 88 and killed him. He was decapitated, and you know, the guy was wasted when he hit him. And it seems to me that it's always the drunk driver, the guy that was on drugs, driving 200 miles an hour, always walks away from the crash.
Yeah.
More innocent people are that die. Always. It's always that way.
Yeah.
And not, I wish death on anybody, but you get behind the wheel, that's stupid. Then you deserve all the repercussion. And I can't stand lawyers. I'm sorry, but you know what? I mean, yeah, I know someone's got to defend these criminals, and you are a criminal when you do something like that because you killed someone.
You're right.
Mike, or Bill, I just want to tell you that I will tell you. I got a question. I got a two-part question. Well, first I got a comment. I want to ask you, and then I'll hang up and I'll listen. I want to ask you if you think Aaron Rodgers had anything to do with the decision making. I know the Packers were maybe, and I guess no one's going to really know how hard did they really go after Odell Beckham, or did Beckham Jr. just want to go where he wanted to go, the team that he felt was going to, go there and win now Super Bowl? Kind of haunts me from last year when, Antonio Brown signs with the Tampa Bay. They bring Gronk out of retirement the year before that, and they all get together and they gather and have their big party. And I hope it's not going to be a repeat of what happens, and we're going to watch the Rams get Von Miller and Odell Beckham Jr. and at the midseason, and they go and run the table and win the whole thing. Because that, to me, is going to be a for sure thing that Rodgers is going to be gone, which brings up my next point. We watched Jordan Love, and I think Jordan Love played an adequate game. I think he made some mistakes that you're going to make when you have your first NFL start. He made some blunders, and he had some decent throws. I think he was average. But I think we as Packer fans have been spoiled since 1993 when Brett Favre came into the league, because we've been riding the coattails of two of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. And it's going to come to an end sooner or later. And I want to ask you, Bill, is it too hard to say this, that the Packers, if they don't win this year and Rodgers walks away next year, you've got Jordan Love. Is the Packers organization going to put competition against Jordan Love, and would they possibly go out and draft another quarterback, or do you think they're just really hell-bent on this guy? I'll hang up and listen to thanks, Bill, for your time.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it, man. Well, first and foremost, when it comes to Jordan Love, if Aaron Rodgers is not here next year, to answer your question, yes, there will be competition for Jordan Love. Now, whether that comes in the form of a veteran signing, you would assume it would be, or a draft choice. But yeah, you'd be crazy not to have competition. Now, it would be Jordan Love's job to lose, and unfortunately, they're going to give Jordan Love the lion's share of ability to lose that job. Because if this is the guy that this is the guy that set everything into motion. So you're going to give him every opportunity to try to have success consistently, even at the detriment of the team. If, let's say, he's bad for 2 years, they're going to stick with him for 2 years because they chose him. He was a first-round draft choice. You got to give him all the opportunity. You're going to say that, okay, in 2 years, that'll be technically his third year in the league when you're supposed to take that step forward. So they're going to bring in competition, whether that's through the draft or what have you, but they're not going to bring in, how do I say it? They're not going to go out in the first round and draft another top draft choice. They're going to maybe bring in a veteran. And going back to, did Aaron Rodgers have anything to do with the OBJ stuff? I'm sure, look, he's, at least the report was that both he and Devontae Adams tried to recruit OBJ there. But I don't know what the disappointment is because they didn't sign him. I think you got to look at this, if you're Aaron Rodgers or Devontae Adams, and say, look, for that amount of money, if indeed he hits the incentives at $4.5 million, we couldn't afford that. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm probably looking in the mirror right now going, yeah, we could have had him, but I'm making a ton of money. I am the number one reason this team doesn't have a lot of money right now, in all honesty. And going into next season, the reason I'm in the situation is because right now, the way it sits, I don't have that ability to give back that money. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. By the way, and I've talked about this time and again, no quarterback in the history of the Super Bowl era has ever won a Super Bowl making more than 13.6% of their team's total salary cap. Aaron Rodgers, as it stands today, makes 14.54%. Think about that. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll get the lowdown from the Seattle side of things when we come back. Hang in there. More of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network. Want to save more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Quick Trip. Top-tier alternative fuels, no PATMs, all your tailgate fare. And they are the official fuel and convenience store provider of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Joining us now from the Seattle Seahawks.com website, John Boyle's on the line with us, giving us kind of the eye on the enemy, so to speak. John, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing well. How in the hell is this team right now? I look at this team, they give up a ton of yards and don't give up points. Tell me, is it just the red zone defense is that good or what?
Part of it's been the red zone defense is really good. Part of it is a ton of those yards came early on. Their yards per game in recent games have not been too bad at all. It was just so skewed early on that when you're looking at just the average numbers, it looks pretty bad. But if you go back really the last, I think, 4 games for them, they had a good half against the Rams, and then the Rams kind of got to them in the second half. And then the last 3 games, granted, not against offenses the caliber of Green Bay's, but they played really good defense the last 3 weeks.
Now you got the return of Russell Wilson. I guess my biggest question is, what should we expect?
I mean, I'm as curious as you guys are. I've seen him out in practice a little bit. He's throwing the ball pretty well. It doesn't look any different to my non-expert eye. So he says if he's not 100%, he feels like he's really close to it. I think they're counting on him going out and being Russell Wilson of old. The one caveat I'm going to throw on it is if he doesn't look great in this game, I'm not sure we're going to know a lot about what that means about his finger, because it's, a great Green Bay defense. Historically, he and the Seahawks have struggled there. As we're expecting it to be a little cold by Seattle standards. So there's a lot of factors that could lead to, if it isn't his best game, it could be things other than the finger.
DK Metcalf did not practice yesterday with that foot injury. What is the update on him? Do you know?
As far as I know, we'll hear from Pete Carroll later today, but my understanding is he's fine. He's had this kind of unspecified sore foot for a while now, that it's been his usual routine to practice Wednesday and take Thursday off. So we'll see, if he doesn't practice today, obviously that would be alarming, but my guess is this is just them sticking with that pattern of, rest day, let it cool off a little bit, let him go Friday. And then, he hasn't missed any playing time. He's, out on the field almost every snap, every game still.
Looking at this Packers team coming into this, now, first of all, it's been a while since Seattle's even won at Lambeau Field. But looking at this Packers team, on one hand, you look at the performance last week. Special teams stunk. Aaron Rodgers didn't play. Jordan Love didn't look great. And they only lost that game 13-3 to the defending AFC champions. Do you look at this team and the Packers as a really, really good football team, one of the top teams in the NFC? Or do you look at this team going, you know what, maybe they're starting to flail a little bit?
No, the perception here is they're one of the elites, especially, we're all, unless you tell me different, we're all operating out here thinking Aaron Rodgers is playing, and obviously he wasn't on the field last week, which is a big factor. So yeah, with the defense playing the way it is there, and if Aaron Rodgers is back, I don't think anybody in Seattle is thinking this is anything but one of the best teams in the NFL.
The biggest thing for Seattle over the last couple of years has been trying to protect Russell Wilson and keep him from just having to run all over the field and protect his own life. How much better has the offensive line been this year?
It's kind of been up and down. They did just make a change at center. Their starting center from last year, Ethan Posick, was hurt to start the year, and he's back in the lineup. I think that has helped out. I think some of the protection issues we were seeing was, some communication stuff, snap count being a little off, where, all of a sudden the left tackle looks like he's getting beat badly, but it's because him and the center's timing weren't off, so the defensive end was getting a jump on him. So it has looked cleaner since Ethan Posick got back into the lineup. They did, Gabe Jackson, the guard they traded from the Raiders, he's been an upgrade in terms of pass protection, especially at guard. So, it hasn't been perfect. They've given up more sacks than they'd like, but I do think we've seen them start to clean some things up a little bit.
I was going through this a little bit earlier. You look at some of the teams that the Packers have lost to. You lose to a team like Bruce Arians and the Buccaneers. They've lost to Zimmer and the Vikings, but when you start to look at some of these coaches they've lost to, like a Kyle Shanahan and some of the older ones, do you give the nod to Pete Carroll in a matchup like this, maybe to come up with something craftier than what maybe Matt LaFleur would be accustomed to seeing?
We'll see. He's made his bones in football and in the NFL for decades now on defense. So, as I said earlier, their defense has improved quite a bit the last few weeks. So they're not usually a team to, do crazy new game plans opponent by opponent. Pete Carroll is much more an advocate of, getting the fundamentals down and doing what they do well. So I don't think it's trying to, outsmart LaFleur necessarily this week. But yeah, we have seen some tweaks to their defense over the last few weeks. We've seen situations where they are playing a lot more dime if they're against a good passing offense, things like that. And obviously with Jamal Adams, you never know how they're going to deploy him. He's been playing maybe a little more close to line of scrimmage in recent weeks than earlier this season. So, yeah, obviously Pete Carroll's done a lot of good things in the NFL, and he's a good coach. It's an interesting series between these two teams. It's been a while since either team won on the road. So that's kind of the Seahawks' big challenge this week, is to buck that trend. You referenced that earlier. It's been since 1999 since Seattle was won out there.
We're talking, by the way, with John Boyle, Seahawks.com, and getting the lowdown on the Seattle Seahawks side of things. Defensively speaking, coming into this contest, you face a two-headed monster. The weather's not going to be great. You've got Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, two distinctly different runners. How good is this team against the run?
It depends on which week you're asking me. They've been really good at times, and then they've struggled at times. They started off the year against the Colts and Jonathan Taylor and really kept him in check. And then the next week they were holding Derrick Henry in check for half a game. And you're thinking, wow, this is a great start, 6 quarters against 2 great running backs. And then Derrick Henry just went off in the second half, and they've given up some big rushing games since then. But kind of like everything else, their defense, it's gotten better in recent weeks. Alvin Kamara didn't do much rushing against them. He did have a big game pass catching, however. Again, like a lot of things with this defense, they felt like they've cleaned it up quite a bit in recent weeks. But much like I think with not seeing anybody like Aaron Rodgers in recent weeks, this is one of the better rushing attacks they've seen in the last month or so. So it'll be a really good test for them.
2 things stick out to me when I started going through the game notes. One is on third down, going after week 4 of this season, they're 24.6% on third down defensively to get off the field, which is just a phenomenal number. So they're not giving up third down, which means most likely the first and second down distances are pretty much in favor of the defense. And as far as the red zone goes, they're one of the top teams in the red zone as well. So while they're giving up a bunch of yards here and there, and like you said, maybe it's skewed from the first 3-4 games, since then, defensively, things have really gotten shored up. What's made the difference since, say, week 4?
Couple of things. They were really getting beat on some, it wasn't like guys just getting torched one-on-one. It was some zone concepts that just, they were messing up coverage-wise, getting some drops wrong. And, as any good team and good coach does, they see a team struggle with something, they exploit it. So we saw, the Minnesota game, they were hitting them with a bunch of the same route concepts. And then the Rams kind of like, oh, hey, look, that worked well. And they did it to them also. They've cleaned up some of those coverages. They did make changes at cornerback. They had a rookie, Trey Brown, who was on injured reserve to start the year. They put him in the starting lineup. And then they bumped DJ Reed, who opened the season starting on the left side, over to the right side, where for whatever reason, he's just been a better right cornerback than left cornerback. So their coverage on the outside's gotten a lot better. It'll be, obviously a great test for them this week against the really good receiving core. So we'll see how they hold up. But to me, that's kind of been the 2 things defensively, is just cleaning up some of those zone coverage concepts and then getting better cornerback play.
John, give me your pick for this weekend.
Oh man, I'm not usually in the pick business. I mean, logic says it's going to be a tough one for the Seahawks because, again, they haven't won there in a long time. But I do feel like this team, maybe, you always talk about the more desperate team sometimes has the edge. And at 3-5, the Seahawks really need to get some wins, and I think they're getting a boost from Russell Wilson. So based off every Green Bay Seattle game I've seen, something weird's going to happen. That's going to be close and down to the wire. But I'll go ahead and be a homer and pick the Seahawks, let's say 23-20.
You can give me a score. That's not a bad way to go, man. John, appreciate it, pal.
Yeah,
thanks so much, okay?
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thanks.
There you go. Boyle, .com. Think about this for a minute. Since week 4, Seattle, their defense has allowed average 18 points a game. That ranks 4th best in the National Football League. 4th best in the National Football League. But I got an even different and bigger stat for you in regards to kind of the same thing when we come back, because it'll give you something to ponder a little bit, because it's something that you and I never would have thought of. Now I've piqued your interest, haven't I? Yeah, that's what they call a tease in this business. Stay tuned, because you're going to want to hear this when we come back. Did a little research. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers host the Seattle Seahawks here in Green Bay. Kickoff is 3:25 Sunday afternoon. Packers tight end Dominic Daphne has missed practice this week with a hamstring injury. The Seahawks, coming off their bye, have running back Chris Carson returning, but Packers linebacker Chris Barnes says they prepare for the scheme, not the roster.
He's an elite back. The things that we've seen him do over the years is, been some good things for him. But we prepare like we're facing the Seahawks. Doesn't matter who they bring, we're facing their scheme. Continue to play our ball, continue to play at a high level, fly around, make plays, tackle. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's that running back, who's that receiver, who's that quarterback. We have to go out there and do our job.
On offense, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur says although Seattle has a lot of new players on defense, they're still coached by Pete Carroll with veteran defensive coordinator Ken Norton.
Coach Carroll is somebody I have the utmost respect for. He's been doing it at the highest level, as Super Bowl champion. These guys they're a really good tackling team.
The Seahawks coming back from a bye with a record of 3-5, but Russell Wilson is back at quarterback after surgery on his finger on his right hand. Pete Carroll says the game against the Packers is important.
A huge matchup coming out of the chutes here with Green Bay, and we're going to take it 1 week at a time and see how far we can go, and with every intention that we're starting over again.
And the Packers special teams have struggled. Mason Crosby did not miss a single field goal all last season. This year, he's missed 6 in the past month. Packers special teams coordinator Mo Drayton.
The standard is the standard. So when a change happens, it's my job to come up with innovative ways or new ways to make this process happen quicker. Mason Crosby deserves better. Okay? I owe him. We owe him. We're going to make it happen.
That's special teams coordinator Mo Drayton. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Thanks to our friends at Numel Medical, treating guys with ED all over the state and well beyond the borders as well. And if you are suffering from ED, you know exactly what I'm talking about, whether it's you or maybe your partner, husband, whatever it happens to be. Call them. Call Numel Medical today, 414-455-4451. It's not going to go away. Got to get some help, right? 414-455-4451. 414-455-4451. Let's just say maybe you're a little bit moody. You don't have the ED problem, but you're tired. You're just kind of dragging all the time. You can't figure out why your energy's always so low. You're blaming it on everything from the fall to the snow to the cold. Go, if you're over the age of 30, go get your numbers checked. It's easy. Just call them up. So they want to come in, get looked at. They can even put you on a plan if you need it. Otherwise, just get your numbers checked. Make sure you're good to go. Testosterone could be low. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Get it checked out. Or maybe you're looking at yourself now going, holy shnikes, I got to drop some poundage. Here come the holidays. Here comes the cookies, the pies, the cakes, the turkeys, the potatoes, everything that goes along with it. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Now's the time to jumpstart the All-in-One Weight Loss Program. Get yourself going now. So that way, as you get into the new year, you got a good new you to go along with it. Call them 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. That's the New Medical Center. So before we went to break, I told you since week 4, the Seattle Seahawks defense, they are allowing just a mere 18 points per game. 4th best in the National Football League. 4th best. That's a defense that's coming into Lambeau Field on Sunday. Now think about that for a minute. Did you ever think I'd be saying this? Remember how the Packers defense started out? Right? Just looked terrible against the New Orleans Saints. Didn't look great against the Lions the following week. San Francisco was okay. Then they played okay against the Steelers. They stymied the Bengals. They put the hammer down on the Bears. Washington didn't get much. What they did against the Cardinals was nothing short of amazing, right? And they only gave up 13 against a rather inept Kansas City defense, right? Or Kansas City offense, right? The Green Bay Packers since week 4 are 3rd best. They're only giving up 16.2 points per game. Did we think we'd say that about a Joe Barry defense? Think about that. For the injuries and the adversity they've gone through, not having Za'Darius, not having Jair. Since week 4, they are the 3rd best defense in the league. And they beat the 2nd best defense in the league in Arizona since week 4. Buffalo number 1, giving up 14.8 points per game. Arizona giving up 15. The Packers 16.2. Seattle 18. And Tampa Bay 19. And the Packers are giving up 16.2 points per game in one additional game than what Seattle is. Seattle's only played 5. Packers have played 6. Think about that. That's how good they've been. That's how good they've been. That's amazing. That's amazing that the Packers have been that good. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, do so. Since their last win in 1999, Seattle is 0-9 at Lambeau Field. 6 regular season meetings, 3 postseason meetings. This is going to be the 9th meeting in the last 10 seasons between these two teams since 2012. And the Packers lead the regular season series 11-8. They've won 3 of the last 4 meetings, and the Seahawks won the last one 27-24. That was going back to 2018 when these two teams matched up. But they're 0-9 at Lambeau Field since 1999. You talk about a giant mental hurdle to overcome. I think the Packers are going to win. I don't think it's going to be the runaway everybody thinks it's going to be, but I think the Packers are going to win the game. But the Seattle's defense has gotten a lot better. And that offensive line, better than what it was last year, not nearly as good as they need it to be. So there you go. Coming up here in the next hour, we are going to hear from our good buddy Mike Clements. He's going to join us in about 20 minutes from now, so stay tuned, and we'll round things out as we do every Friday with Mike, with snippets from in the locker room and kind of wrapping up the week at hand, getting ready for the return of Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully everything goes well there. And as far as the timing and the schedule goes, we'll ask Mike to be a little more specific. I'm not quite sure. I think Aaron's testing today. I think he also tests again tomorrow, and then he should be back with the team tomorrow afternoon, going through the walkthrough, rejoining the team at the team hotel, and then being able to play on Sunday. So I think that's kind of how things go. Hey, if you're going to be out and about tonight or this weekend, head over to see our friends at the Nice Ash Cigar Bar, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha, especially if you're going to go someplace and watch the Badger game. Nice Ash. They got cigars, hookahs, entertainment all weekend long. Same thing with Stenny's. Second and National, Walker's Point. Best wings around. The Reuben rolls, by the way, the other night, we had Reuben rolls from Stenny's at the cigar dinner. You talk about a hit. Oh, my goodness. Those were a huge hit. Go down there, get the Bill Michaels garlic cheese bread, the Stenny's wings, the Reuben rolls. That's a day at the office right there. That's fantastic. I don't care who you are. Stenny's, you should be here. Another hour of the program right around the corner. Hang in there. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers back in the field for practice today, their final time before Sunday's game against Seattle. That includes tackle David Bakhtiari. He was activated off the physically unable to perform list this week. But Coach Matt LaFleur says there's still some things that have to happen before he can be active on game days.
We got to get through the week of practice, and you got to string back-to-back days. You got to get into football shape, get multiple reps, try to simulate a drive as best you can, and just see how he responds. And then when he's ready to go, then he'll be in the lineup.
Two other All-Pros also working their way back from injury. Cornerback Jair Alexander dealing with a shoulder injury, but LaFleur says he's making progress.
No, he's been around quite a bit, and the plan is just to try to continue him and his shoulder to heal, and we'll see where he's at. And it's going good, but there's still a long way out.
Outside linebacker Zadarius Smith also recovering from back surgery, but there is hope he'll be able to return before the end of the regular season. Meanwhile, quarterback Aaron Rodgers can return to the facility tomorrow for the first time since testing positive for COVID. If he clears some medical hurdles, he will be under center on Sunday. Turning to Wisconsin, they're going to take on Northwestern tomorrow. Badgers have won 5 straight and tied for a first in the Big Ten West. Kick is at 11.
Hey, Packers fans, this season, when the Packers win, you win at Quick Trip. A win on Sunday means buy one, get one. Pothole pizzas on Monday. That's right. When the Packers win, stop by any Quick Trip to buy one, get one pothole pizza the day after the game. You can choose from Take It Cheesy, Pepperoni, Sausage Palooza, Meat Sweats, and our latest creation, Kitchen Sink, with, you guessed it, a ton of delicious toppings. Pothole Pizza, the official pizza of Lambeau Field. Quick Trip, big on pizza, big ball.
Well, the Green Center, they will honor former coach Bo Ryan at halftime of the game, and the Bucs are in Boston. It's where they're going to take on the Celtics tonight. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, Kyle Print.
Hour number 4 of the Bill Michaels Show. And one of the intangibles when it comes to the NFL that you can almost, if you're Vegas, you can almost book on that if you lose the turnover battle, you're going to lose the game. These two teams come in the top 5 in fewest giveaways so far this season. Seattle, by the way, number 1 in the NFL. They've only given it away 4 times. 4 times. The Packers, 5th in the NFL right now. 5th best. They've only given it away 8 times so far this season. So as far as the rankings go, they're number 1 in the NFL in fewest giveaways, and their red zone offense, by the way, operating at 75% efficiency. That puts them at number 2 in the NFL. Their red zone defense is ranked number 5. Their third down efficiency, defensively speaking, is ranked number 6. Points per game overall, they're number 8. And turnover differential, they're number 8 as well. It's not a slouch of a team. Their record is a little bit misleading. It's not a slouch of a team. They've had some good performances. Bobby Wagner and company, I mean, Quandre Diggs, I mean, when you talk about the ability to pick off the football, Tyler Lockett on the outside, DK Metcalf on the outside. I mean, they got some ability both offensively and defensively. But But I got a good feeling about this. I think maybe it's just for the fact that they're playing at Lambeau Field. The fact that they have not been able to win at Lambeau Field makes me feel pretty good. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up and give us a thought, please do it. Please do it. Packers, when it comes to their injury report, you got David Bakhtiari getting back at it. I don't know. A lot of questions as to whether or not Bakhtiari is going to play this weekend. I don't know. If he does play, that will mean from the time they started practicing again to the time that they would play this weekend, he will have had a total in the last 2.5 weeks of 4 padded practices and only 1 full-out session. That's not much. That's why it might be, he may be active, but he may not be, or he may be back on the roster, activated to the roster, but he may not be activated on Sunday. He may not be active. He could be an inactive on Sunday. It would not surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. Good to see Kenny Clark back at practice again. The one area of concern, Dominic Daphne still not practicing with that hamstring. So they'll be a little bit thin in the tight end tank. Kingsley Kiki was back from that concussion protocol with limited. Mercedes Lewis, he's getting that veteran's rest, so no big, huge worry there. Dean Lowry, who's had the hamstring issue, he's been a full participant in practice, which is good. Then you got Eric Stokes with the knee. He's been limited. EQ, Equinemius St. Brown, he's been limited. We know that the good news has been that there's been a Jair Alexander sighting. There's been a Zadarius Smith sighting. Not that they're ready to go, but they're starting to get back out there. You're starting to see them now. Normally you don't see them. So just if this thing can continually trend in the right direction, who knows? Maybe this team, maybe they withstood the worst of all of it early on this season through the first 10 weeks, and all of a sudden you start getting these guys back for the stretch run. Maybe this truly does become kind of, unfortunately, the last dance. Maybe they do get to a championship before it's all said and done. You can cross your fingers. 877-867-1670. If you want to fire something off to us, you can do it. TheBillMichaels@gmail.com. TheBillMichaels@gmail.com. Shoot us a note there. Again, TheBillMichaels@gmail.com. Matt says, with all this talk about the Rams, are we taking our focus off of Tampa Bay? I feel like Tom is down in Florida right now flying under the radar. I think the Buccaneers are still the best team in the National Football League. Until somebody beats them or beats them handily, I still think they're the best team in the National Football League. I don't see them. Now, I don't necessarily have their schedule sitting here in front of me, but I don't see them, magnanimously losing. And all of a sudden just becoming this less than what they are team. When you look at the rest of their schedule, and I'm just pulling it up now, think about it this way. Washington, New York, Indianapolis, Atlanta are their next 4. They're on a bye right now. They have a bye week this week. Oh, no. I take that back. They're coming off of the bye. They play Washington this week, New York, Indianapolis, then Atlanta, which should be 4 wins. After that, they get Buffalo at home, New Orleans at home. Then they go to Carolina to face Cam Newton, who did his opening press conference today. Then the Jets, then Carolina again. They got Carolina 2 times within 3 weeks. How weird is that? And that's it. That's it. If you're going to say how many losses is Tampa Bay going to have, they're not going to lose to Washington, not going to lose to New York, not going to lose to Indianapolis, not going to lose to Atlanta. Maybe Buffalo for their 3rd loss, and maybe one more in there. New Orleans got them earlier this year, 36-27, but that was with Jameis Winston. I don't even think New Orleans can get them. So they may end up with just one more loss if they lose to Buffalo. They could end up 14-3. The Packers have 2 losses as it stands. If they lose to LA or Baltimore, they could end up 14-3. We talked earlier about, say, the 2 teams in the West. When you look at Arizona, Arizona's got Carolina, Seattle. And Seattle's defense has gotten better. And with Kyler Murray's been a little bit banged up, maybe they lose a game, but they've got Carolina in Arizona this weekend. They got Chicago, the Rams. So maybe they take another loss there. Dallas. Say they split with Seattle, Dallas lose to the Rams. That would give them, or just say Dallas and Seattle, that would give them a 14-3 record. Think about that. They could end up 14-3. So if that happens, boy, you're talking down to all kinds of tiebreakers at that point. And you still got the Rams. As you go through the Rams schedule, they got San Francisco. They should beat them. Then they have the bye. When they play the Packers, the Rams at full strength with Von Miller, OBJ, and everybody coming off of a bye week. That's going to be a tough game for the Packers to win. But they'll have Arizona, Seattle, Minnesota, Baltimore, maybe. Maybe they lose 1 or 2 more times. They could end up being 14-3. Boy, you could have a really crowded spot atop the NFC with a lot of elite teams sitting there with the exact same record. Think about that. So the Packers, with 2 losses, really have to get the win over LA to possibly get the tiebreaker. And then their only other loss, you would hope, if there is going to be one, would come at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens, an AFC team on the road. Therefore, you beat the Bears at home, you beat the Browns at home, you beat the Vikings at home, and you beat the Vikings twice between now and then the Lions again. The way that I can't believe we're this deep into the season. It seems like yesterday we were sitting here talking about training camp and the return of Aaron Rodgers. That's the most amazing thing about this, how it's just completely flown by. 877-867-1670 if you want to give us a shout. Hammersmith says, with Aaron Rodgers in this defense, we can beat Tom Brady. Brett says Packers 2017 over Seattle this weekend. Oh, my God. Brett also says, hey, think about it next year. If you're going to go after a veteran free agent to back up Jordan Love, it could be Andy Dalton or Blake Bortles as a backup. Oh, Andy Dalton has taken a team like Cincinnati to the postseason. He hasn't played horrible football. And I think even with down in Chicago's a train wreck. Matt Nagy calling plays is awful. He was never going to put Andy Dalton in a position to be successful. Andy Dalton actually played decent football under Mike McCarthy. I really wonder, let's say Andy Dalton does become the backup in Green Bay. I wonder with this offense what Andy Dalton could do.
Hey, Trubisky's a free agent too.
Oh, my God. I don't even want to talk about Mitch Trubisky. That was a train wreck. Not only should Pace have been fired, but he should have been he in Chicago style, they should have thrown like cement bricks around his ankle and dumped him into Lake Michigan. That was a terrible, terrible, terrible pick. That was very much a Ted Thompson-esque pick. That was Justin Harrell. That was their version of Justin Harrell, was Mitch Trubisky. We're going to go get this guy because we see something in him nobody else does. And we're going to jump up to get him. And that was just a train wreck. Same thing when they chose Justin Harrell. And Ted Thompson came down. I mean, that pick was roundly booed, sitting there doing the draft show that day inside the Lambeau Field atrium. That was booed. Ted came to the stage and was booed, loudly booed. And by the time he left, he was convinced everybody that Reggie White was coming to Green Bay. But everybody in the back of their head was like, yeah, no, this is never going to work out. Justin Harrell was a terrible pick. Terrible. Clint says, let's not forget the Dolphins handled the Ravens last night. I agree with that, but I think there was two things at play here. One, I think they took the Dolphins lightly, and two, again, traveling team on a Thursday night. It just doesn't work out for traveling teams on Thursday nights most of the time, for whatever reason. Doesn't matter the matchup; it just doesn't. That's why the Packers are such an anomaly to all of this, because they were real underdogs in that game and came away with a victory. 877-867-1670. If you are looking for a great weekend getaway, say it's the Widows weekend that's coming up here in the middle of November, and you're looking for a great escape, got a great place for you. Great place. It's Pine Mountain Resort. Pine Mountain Resort. They've got, look, already the snow's falling here in the Milwaukee area. Snow's falling all over the state. You know it's colder up north. You know they're going to start making snow real soon for the mountain up there. So start getting your ski reservations in. Or you can maybe say, go to the Hunters Widows weekend. They've got that coming up. That's going to be on November 19th next week. You can do that. So if you still are looking for something to do, you and the gang, whether it's girls or guys, who knows, head up there. They've got a wine dinner, pairings, all that kind of good food. They got it all going on. Or how about the Christmas craft show on December 4th? They're going to be doing that. All of this stuff. Plus, you heard it right here in the Bill Michaels Network. The special, whatever the special happens to be, get a hold of our girl, Barb, B-A-R-B, Barb at PineMountainResort.com. That's Barb at PineMountainResort.com. Get a hold of Barb. Tell her you heard it here. They're going to give you, whatever the special happens to be, they'll give you a little bit of a wink, wink, nod, nod discount. Check out PineMountainResort.com. That is PineMountainResort.com. Tell them we sent you. Great people. You can give them a call as well if you choose to do so, but you got to ask for Barb. 906-774-2747. 906-774-2747. That is PineMountainResort.com. Check them out. Let's do this. Mike Clemens going to round things out for us when we come back. We're going to talk with him for the remainder of the program about the matchup between the Packers and the Seahawks upcoming. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show is next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Odell Beckham Jr. is flying to Los Angeles today. He is going to take his physical, he is going to sign his contract, and he will officially be a member of the Rams today, which we already know he is going to be because yesterday was crazy. Here's what happened. Odell Beckham Jr. started calling teams and informing them that they were out. The Packers offered the minimum, which was not very much. The Rams offered more, up to $4.25 million based on team incentives, team-based incentives in the end, thanks in part to the recruiting efforts from some very well-known and loquacious Rams players. Odell Beckham officially going to be a member of the Los Angeles Rams.
Well, there you go. All of that discussion about OBJ, it just never materialized. Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. Bill Michaels' show continues on. We bring in now our guy that is making the money and earning every damn penny of it, and that is our buddy Mike Clemens. So, Michael, how you doing today?
I'm good. You know, I don't understand why everybody's so upset. They're going to get to see Odell play at Lambeau Field. He'll just be in another jersey.
Right.
You know, they'll get to see him.
Right. Yeah, he's not going to be in their hometown, green and gold, so I get it.
So the story breaks yesterday afternoon that Odell was calling back those other teams like the Saints and like the Chiefs and the Patriots and saying, I'm not coming. And then, dramatically it's down to Green Bay or L.A. And we talked about this last night at the Huddle. By the way, that was a great show with you. And
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was enjoyed doing that. And so then, eventually, obviously, he calls Green Bay because he's saying, I'm taking the money offer, the more money that L.A. is offering to go out there for the one-year deal, 4.2. And so while he's on the podium, this story breaks. Adrian Amos, your veteran safety, finds out that Odell Beckham is going to go to the Rams during the press conference, and here's how that went.
Yeah, it just came out that Odell's going to the Rams. The past couple of days, how much have you and your teammates been kind of following this, wondering if he might be coming here, and is there any sense of disappointment that he won't be?
Obviously you see it, it's going around, you hear people talking, and then, you definitely pay attention to it a little bit, but it's not really like a, oh man, or anything like that. It's just, all right, next day it wasn't like before that was a possibility. We didn't have confidence in ourselves. We already had that confidence in ourselves to be great, and we have our same goals that we had. And, if he came, our goals would have been the same as, that he's not coming. So it's all the same.
It's not huge. It's not like some big loss. For Adrian Amos, they still have their job to do. They just have one more guy they're going to have to defend, whether he was coming from Cleveland or coming from L.A., Mike. But yeah, Devontae, who went to the podium and said, yeah, I gave him a call and tried to woo him in this direction. I wonder how Devontae feels today.
Yeah, remember when the Bears spent $141 million in 6 years on Khalil Mack, and then everybody said, oh, they're going to the Super Bowl.
Right.
So, there's sometimes there's these moves that are made where people get a little bit crazy. But, yeah, you're right. The difference is also, Sean McVay's got his players calling Odell, assuring him he'll be welcomed. And the Packers were doing that to some extent as well because, Devontae Adams talked about his relationship with Odell Beckham Jr.
We're not best friends, but we definitely speak. We've been in contact. We talk several times throughout the year, pretty much every year since we've both been in the league, came in together. He was actually roommates with one of my best friends at the Combine. So that was when I first met him, was at the Combine in their room. We're just chilling. So that's where it started and, became pretty good friends.
So, the Odell Beckham thing, it's past. He's not coming here. Now you got to focus on getting ready for Seattle. And it's a weird week within itself. I was talking about some of the numbers that Seattle has posted. Seattle's defense after week 4 has been one of the best scoring defenses in the National Football League. Their third down percentage, their red zone defense, everything's been really, really good. Meanwhile, the Packers, they got to get ready offensively to face this defense and do it without Aaron Rodgers in the room. Not that it's totally detrimental, but it's got to be weird.
Yeah, and it's something, though, because of the pandemic the last couple of years, they've developed this Zoom thing, and Nathaniel Hack is the offensive coordinator, and he talked about, he's literally got carrying around Aaron Rodgers wherever he goes. Aaron's at his house in quarantine, waiting to get cleared from COVID, and Hackett talked about what the quarterback meetings are like, what the offensive game plan meetings are like all week with Aaron Rodgers from home on Zoom.
It's almost like it's just second nature. I feel like I'm walking around with electronics and FaceTime and Aaron in my pocket. The off season has been really beneficial. I think kind of how these past couple years have gone. The interactive learning program that we developed is absolutely incredible. And I think that it's made everybody a lot more familiar with the computers, how to use the computers, how the players utilize the computers. So it's not as uncomfortable as you think it would be. You've got, everybody zoomed in, whoever needs to be zoomed in whenever that needs to happen. And in this case, it's, a couple guys. And so we have them all in there full time. And then, anything you got to get to them, it's easy to get to them. So it's just kind of become second nature because that's just kind of where everything's going. So, you just got the Zoom and we talk about it. We're all talking and he's just right in there. Anybody that's done a Zoom, as you get comfortable with it, it's like the person's right next to you. You've got the only difference is when you're in the meetings and when somebody wants to interject, it just kind of it's really loud and you hear it from the speaker system, so it kind of makes you jump, which I like because it keeps everybody on their toes. You never know who's going to be talking next. So, but it's been good.
Mike, were you ever a fan of the show The Big Bang Theory?
Yeah, my wife has it on all the time.
So in one of the episodes, Sheldon did not want to go out into the world until he had downloaded all of his knowledge into another being, into an intelligence force. So he built a robot in which he had his face on an iPad, and anywhere he wanted to go, his robot would drive. That's what I picture. Aaron Rodgers walking around the halls as a robot, but sitting at home with his face on an iPad, looking at everybody as they walk up and down the halls. When Nathaniel Hackett says, "I got Aaron in my pocket," that's what this reminds me of.
I'm glad you brought that up because now that explains the joke. I didn't get it, but the guys were, Nathaniel Hackett is a well-known kind of a geek when it comes to Star Trek and Gold member, Austin Powers and all that. And somebody was saying, "Have you got robots going around with iPads and stuff?" I didn't get the joke.
Yeah.
So, and he laughed at that. So obviously he watches that show too. No, one thing I thought was really important was this. And in the trip to Kansas City, I got the chance to talk briefly to Russ Ball, Vice President of Finance, important part of the Packers today, who came in during the McCarthy time. They replaced Andrew Brandt with him in a big political scuffle I don't want to talk about. But think about this. In 1993, Paul Hackett, who was the coach at Pitt, then had spent some time with Bill Walsh from the 49ers. He's an assistant for Marty Schottenheimer. He brings along Mike McCarthy from Pittsburgh. And Russ Ball joins that operation, and that's how far back McCarthy and Ball go. And then McCarthy brings him to Green Bay. And the other thing is that Nathaniel Hackett is growing up in Kansas City when they got Joe Montana and Marty Schottenheimer is the coach, and all those years back in the 90s, and Uncle Mike McCarthy. So Hackett talked about Jordan Love's performance under that blitz against the Chiefs at noisy Arrowhead Stadium.
I'm telling you, his toughness. There were some shots that he took, and when you take those shots or you throw a pick or something happens, that's when you get to learn a lot about a guy. And I think that when those things happened, he didn't skip a beat. He didn't let it affect him. And I think that was really important to see, because now you could start advancing in those. He's a tough kid. And I remember a story, a quarterback that I coached in the past that, it was like the second series or something like that. And he threw a pick six and goes to the house. And, that was the first time I'd been calling plays for him, and watching him, watching his reaction. He just kind of comes over and is like, "Hey, I got that one out of the way. Let's go." And I think that that's a dude, that's a guy that you're like, okay, it's okay. We ended up winning the game. So I think that watching Jordan and then he goes down and scores a touchdown that next drive, like that's awesome. Like that's what you're looking for. And so I think those two things, just the toughness of being able to take the hits, hang in there. And I mean, Kansas City, growing up there as a kid, that is legitimately the loudest stadium in the league. That is not an easy place to play. And so I think that along with his toughness and his ability to brush it off and go to the next play was great to see.
Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. We'll come back. We got more with Mike Clemens. Also, just kind of listening a little bit intently. Matt LaFleur is scheduled to speak a little bit later on here, and if he should make the announcement that Aaron Rodgers will not play tomorrow or will not play on Sunday, we will let you know. But we're just kind of waiting to see what Matt LaFleur has to say. Stay tuned. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Need to get away this winter? Then it's time to plan one at Pine Mountain Resort, the Upper Peninsula's premier ski resort. Pine Mountain Resort is the #1 rated ski resort in Michigan and Wisconsin. Stay in one of the newly renovated rooms at the lodge and take on the mountain, or just sit by the fire in the bar. The Pine Mountain Ski Jump is the tallest man-made ski jump in North America. Take advantage of their ski and stay packages from 1 to 4 nights, or get a season-long pass available now. Book online today at PineMountainResort.com. That's PineMountainResort.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Shotgun Wilson. Steps up, runs into his own man. Wilson now trying to circle. Wilson breaks a tackle. Russell Wilson with a tremendous individual effort for the first down.
We're doing all the right things. I think that there's just a couple more things here and there. I think, we had some chances to close some games out early on that we feel like we normally do. And so just adjusting, and it's all a new season, new journey, new day. The only thing we can control is right now. And the rest of the stuff doesn't matter.
There you go. Those are the words of Russell Wilson. And obviously Russell Wilson coming back from the finger injury. Welcome back to the program. Russell Wilson can still run, though. That finger may not be great, but he can still get out and move, and you've got the ability to kind of keep him in the pocket and or hit him in open area. Mike Clemens now joining us yet again on the hotline. So, Mike, look, you've got guys that are going to say, okay, who are we going to use to spy Russell Wilson? Because that's the guy that can hurt us the most, probably with his legs more so than his hand right now.
Yeah, Russell with the ruptured tendon, dislocated finger there when he hit it on a helmet. Geno Smith couldn't get him wins. They fall back to 3-5 with record. But one thing that helped them is last weekend was their bye. And so Pete Carroll comes in with these guys and says, okay, just forget about the first half. If we go 5-3, we can compete. We can get into the postseason. We got Russell back. And so you talk to Darnell Savage Jr., who's been such a great pick, I think, overall. Good kid, level-headed, plays physical at times. And he talked about, as he gets into his third year, about facing Russell Wilson in the past. And is that a learning experience?
Some of the stuff is not necessarily even a learning experience. It's just kind of he's going to extend plays for a really long time. So you just got to continue to play hard. Just never relax. Typically, you're used to a play lasting about, anywhere from 7 to 8 seconds. With him, it could be 15, 20. So you just can't relax ever because he can make some stuff happen.
Mike, in addition to that, when you kind of go through this and you look at what he's capable of doing. By the way, just an update. David Bakhtiari probably not going to play in this contest, which is what we already assumed. Just give him an extra week to kind of get ready. Stokes is questionable. They anticipate Rodgers will be able to play, but added that there's a lot of things that can happen between now and then, telling Jordan Love be ready just in case, just so we're all caught up. But in the meantime, going back to what I was saying just before that news kind of came across, the secondary has played pretty well, and it was nice to get a Jair Alexander sighting this past week, but they're still doing okay, especially if Stokes is able to come back and play.
Yeah, and just a note on the Bakhtiari thing, that's just part of the workout load that they talk about. I mean, they're rehabbing a guy with an ACL, and the fact that he wasn't in practice today, that's just really part of the plan. And getting back to this secondary, look at this, man. Jair has been out, but when you talk about Kevin King and Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage and Shandon Sullivan, I mean, you've got these guys have been together now 2-3 years in Green Bay. They know each other, and there's that closeness. And then back in the building now from back surgery is Zadarius Smith or Jair Alexander as he continues to rehab the shoulder and hopes he can heal it without surgery, which means, he still has a shot at coming back. And so Darnell talked about how these guys are coming together and bringing in new guys like Rasul Douglas into the system and what it's like to have Jair and a big personality like Za'Darius back in the building.
Those are our brothers. It's always good to have them. It's always good to, and if anybody knows Z, Z's voice travels, so you can hear Z from anywhere. Because our room is so close, just the DB room in general. So obviously, when we get to have Job back and everybody back, it's just fun. I think the biggest thing we're doing right now, we're all just trusting each other. And when you trust your brother to do their job, it's a lot easier to do your own. So, you know what I'm saying? When you trust that everybody else is going to do your job, it makes it a lot easier to do your own, And that's normally when mistakes happen, when somebody else is trying to do another person's job. So we're just going out there really and just honing in on what we got to do on a specific call, and we're getting that done. And I feel like it's working for us. We're playing with confidence, and we're playing smart. So
how does this team, Mike, for as good, and I was reading some of the statistics a little bit earlier, when you talk about points given up per game, and the Packers are actually a little bit better than even Seattle since week 4. They've been playing that good. This defense has gotten steadily better. But this is now going to come down to that front group. Without Z, you're going to have to put pressure on Russell Wilson. You're going to have to contain him, keep him in the pocket. You're going to have to get play from Gary. You're going to have to get Kingsley Keke back. You're going to have Kenny. All hands on deck up front to keep this guy in the pocket.
I thought one thing that was amazing was that Joe Barry and Jerry Montgomery, the defensive line coach, they were down to 2 rookies at the end of the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and all those dudes last Sunday night at Arrowhead Stadium, because Dean Lowry had some kind of an injury coming into the game. So, Matt LaFleur said after the game he was on a pitch count. Kenny Clark left the game, with a back injury after just 24 snaps. And you were down to TJ Slayton and an undrafted kid named Jack Heflin. That's all who they had left on the defensive line. And still they were able to contain and not let, Kansas City get crazy in the fourth quarter. They actually kept them out of the end zone. And the only way Kansas City won was to get the first down and to extend it. So that's pretty impressive. And, Joe Barry is beginning to impress me. And I think it's becoming clearer why they moved on from a smart guy like Mike Pettin and a guy like Joe Barry, who's, bringing more of the nuances of the Rams defense, and the Fangio background that Matt LaFleur was looking for. But there's just a clearer communication, I think. And I think there's a little more emotion than Pettin gave it. I think there's just more of one thing that Joe Barry's doing very well is he's saying there's starters and there's next starters, and probable starters. In other words, everyone's going to get on the field at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't get into this game whether you're active, inactive, whatever. You've all got to be, there's a better awareness of being ready. And so I thought this was a great discussion last night from Joe Barry, your defensive coordinator, about here's the trick. Russell Wilson, man, you forget about just how well this guy can still scramble around the field and extend plays, like Darnell said, for up to 20 seconds. So here's the trick. If you're a linebacker or a defensive lineman, do you try and contain Russell Wilson, or do you try and put pressure on him? Because otherwise, your secondary is going to be back there running around for 7 or 8 seconds against big DK Metcalf or speedy Tyler Lockett for receivers on Sunday. And here's what Joe Barry said.
That's a great question. When it comes to a pass rush, no matter how many people you're rushing, the worst thing you can do is rush what I refer to as rush scared. You can't rush scared, or you can't be cautious, but you definitely have to be smart when you rush a guy like this. And as you guys know, you always talk about there's 5 offensive linemen. Well, there's 3 gaps on each side of the center. So that's 6 rush lanes that you have to defend. Well, when you do the math, if you only rush 4, you got 6 rush lanes, you only got 4 rushers. So obviously when you add rushers, if you add a 5th rusher, if you add a 6th rusher, it's much easier with rush lanes. But the key thing that you always talk about is when you rush 4, you got to condense and you got to collapse the pocket and rush lanes. But there are 6 rush lanes and only 4 guys. So, and Russell he's been the master of it for years, just being able to manipulate movement in the pocket and create time. And, he's one of the best of all time. It's a challenge. It's definitely something you got to talk about. It's been, I think, a benefit for us the last 2 weeks going against Kyler with all the issues that he possesses. Then obviously, Patrick Mahomes is all 3 of them are subtly different, but the last 2 weeks has been good prep for us because those are guys that do a great job of creating time and really being able to manipulate time to be able to throw the ball down the field, but then also tuck the ball and run. So it will be another great challenge this week with number 3.
Let's do this. We'll step away, take a quick break, wrap things up with Mike Clemens. Just to reiterate, Matt LaFleur went to the podium. David Bakhtiari, while he is back at practice, he hasn't had any setbacks, but he's doubtful for this game. They want to get some more practices under his belt. Also, he anticipates Aaron Rodgers will be available to play on Sunday, but added a lot of things can happen. He is telling Jordan Love to be ready. Also, one of the updates was Eric Stokes in the secondary, the cornerback, the rookie, still listed as questionable for this contest against Seattle. Stay tuned. We're going to wrap things up. Coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ganadella from Pella and the title tones. Game day train, take 47.
I'm leaving.
Leaving.
On a game day train to Tattletown.
Leaving on a game day train.
What did
Gina get us into?
Come on, Leroy, Wayne, Tausch, we can do this.
I don't know, Gina. I'm just not feeling it.
Same here, Leroy.
Yeah, like what's our motivation?
Well, with chilly winds sneaking in, Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can replace those leaky, stuck, and squeaky windows and doors, and we install round.
I was thinking more like matching crushed velvet jacket.
Ooh, in green and gold? Oh, yeah. Now we're talking.
Listen, how about if we offered Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin fans 12 months, no payments, and no interest?
Maybe.
Plus 20% off installation.
Yeah, that's more like
Now we're cooking with gas.
But only through November 30th. Set your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Woo, woo. Oh, that was good. Good, woo, woo.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
36-yard attempt. Crosby, 3 for 3 today. And this one is no good.
It has been an issue, to say the very least, and that has been special teams for the Green Bay Packers, and they were abysmal this past week. That being said, Mike Clemens joining us from NFL Sirius Radio and our Green and Gold Insider as well. And Mike, as much as we talk about the offense and the defense and such, special teams has reared its ugly head quite a bit as of late.
And Mo Drayton had been one of the assistants in special teams the last couple of years, and then they gave him the job because, quite frankly, I think the players were probably talking to Matt LaFleur during exit interviews, like, we really get more out of the assistant than we do out of Sean Menenga, and so they made that change. And you'll hear the special teams coordinator and the passion. Now they've got this Stephen Wertel that they brought in, and they're using him as the long snapper, and Mo Drayton talks about, the operation for point after touchdown and for field goals. You got about 1.25 to 1.28 seconds for snap, hold, kick. And you saw one of the misses that Mason Crosby had against the Chiefs where the laces were handed out, to what he calls would be 3 o'clock, I think. It was off to the left. They use a clock system for it. But Mo Drayton did this little tribute to the veterans yesterday on Veterans Day, and then was asked point blank about, so what about the fact that Mason Crosby did not miss a field goal all last year? He's now missed 6 in the last month.
So how do you get that field goal team right? I tell you what, I had a feeling you were going to ask that question. Well, here it is. I'm going to be very, very general. But this is the standard. This is typically what you need to happen to have a successful PAT field goal unit. You're looking for your long snapper to snap the ball with accuracy, location, and velocity, the same revolutions to get to the holder in the same catch point every time he snaps the ball. And then it's the holder's job, all right, to put that ball down on a spot roughly the size of a dime, and maybe with very little movement, and then lean the ball in the manner that your kicker needs it so that the kicker can hit that right, the proper paneling on the ball to put it through the H. And you got to do all of that in 1-2-5 to 1-2-8. It takes time to get that rhythm, and we're working to get that rhythm. At the end of the day, it falls on me. I have to come up with new, innovative ways to make this rhythm happen now, because we don't have that luxury. And I promise you, that's priority number 1 in the special teams, to get that operation down pat. And then priority number 2 is to get that protection shored up. I tell you what, to play offensive line on the PAT field goal unit is the worst job on the football field, because essentially what we're asking the offensive lineman to do is to die a slow death every time. So we're going to take these big 6'7", 6'8" offensive linemen. We're going to put them in a crunch stance, okay? And then on the snap of the ball, they have to get their cleats in the ground to brace for 700 pounds of pressure coming at them, okay? And when we're bracing for that 700 pounds of pressure, I can't be too low because he'll go over me. I can't be too high or I'm going to get knocked back and they'll block the ball. So I have to be in that proper sweet spot as I protect and die that slow death. All of this has to happen in 1-2-5 to 1-2-8. So it's my job to come up with drills, with mechanisms that allows these guys to, every time they get in that stance, they're going to say, I'm able to die this slow death for my teammate. That is the standard. It's all on me. All right. Nobody's running from it. It's right here. All right. And I promise you, we're working at it every day. We're playing with some pieces to the puzzle that I talked about before to get the right human beings in the right spot, but we're working at it.
To come up with new, innovative ways. Mike, I'd love to know what the hell the innovative ways are.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, how do you get this new long snapper up and running and get the laces up, in 1.28? How do you do that? And Mo Drayton is here to tell you, I'm gonna fix it.
A lot of it is natural ability, but there are some things that we can do to manipulate that. I don't necessarily want to talk about it. I tell you what, we are working towards that, and we will get that done. We're going to get fixed, committed to it, have to. Mason Crosby deserves better, okay? I owe him. We owe him. We're going to make it happen.
That's great, but isn't that some of the stuff that we said or we heard at the beginning of the season?
Whatever, it was a cool drop the mic moment, don't you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, trying to say, this organization will be holding itself up with class and dignity, and I promise you that is going to be our standard. And then you turn and walk away from the podium and you're not wearing pants,
I just thought that, and normally I try and talk about both teams and a lot of other breakdowns, but I just thought that was pretty good insight, at least what LaFleur's got going in those three coordinators between Nathaniel Hackett and Joe Barry, and why he's popular with the players. And I think you heard some of that there in terms of his clear, direction and ideas, and probably taking more feedback from the veterans on how they think they can perform better. I mean, just like Dean Lowry, it's like, if Patton just made him a power guy all the time, well, then he didn't have any numbers. And they say, "Oh, Dean's doing a lot of dirty work for us." No, you know what you got to do? You got to run some stunts. You got to give the guy a chance, and you've got to throw a variety at these offenses. Now, out in Seattle, we don't have their injury report yet, Bill, because they're 2 hours, behind us. We'll get it maybe 4 or 5 this afternoon. But they are coming off their bye. They got about 14 guys on there, but I don't think there's any big surprises. The big story all week is the fact that Russell Wilson is back, that he was on the phone trying to get Odell Beckham Jr. to Seattle, and that's as far as they went. About he was working 20 hours a day to get that finger, the blood back, and to have it, heal up so that he can get enough grip on the football for Sunday in Green Bay. We're supposed to have some snow in Wisconsin on Sunday morning. We'll see what happens with the 3:25 kick. But this other thing that's going on here right now, Bill, I mean, right after the game in Kansas City, Matt LaFleur said, Aaron Rodgers will be our starter. Today he comes out and says, well, whatever happens, it's out of my control. And then they bring out Jordan Love, who's looking confident and talking to the media to show that he can handle a full-fledged press conference in the middle of the season. So is Aaron Rodgers over there with a box of Kleenex, on the Zoom all week because he's still got COVID? Or is this just a shell game at the last minute to make Pete Carroll and Ken Norton say, oh, my God, do we have to go back and look at more Jordan Love tape?
Right.
Very interesting to see what Green Bay's pulling here at the 11th hour.
Yeah, it's you hope that he can go. You hope that Aaron Rodgers can go, but Jordan Love's sitting there breathing heavy right now. I mean, he was just at the podium too, and talking about how he's living the dream and he just enjoyed himself and had fun. But we'll wait and see. If Aaron Rodgers plays, I still think the Packers get a win on Sunday. Mike, do you?
But isn't that funny though?
Oh yeah.
If the Packers brought out Jordan Love today, just so that Pete Carroll's like, what? Why is Jordan Love talking? Oh my God! Maybe it's going to be. Maybe we got to start taking a second look at that Love tape. And maybe we're not playing Aaron Rodgers. Oh,
I can hear a Foreigner's song "Head Games" playing right now.
Yes, that's it, man.
Yes.
Yeah, that should be on Pete Carroll's dial tone right now, on his cell phone, right over. Yeah.
Good stuff, buddy. We'll talk to you after the game on Sunday.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, pal. Talk to you later. There you go Mike Clemens. He'll be joining us during the Green and Gold postgame show immediately following Seattle and Green Bay. Tune into many of these same stations right here, and we'll get you all up to date and get your reaction to the Packers and the Seahawks. Big weekend coming up. Tonight you got the Bucs are on the road in Boston. Then they go to Atlanta on Sunday. You've got Northwestern coming into Camp Randall this weekend. Tonight you got UW Green Bay coming into the Kohl Center. Marquette's taking on New Hampshire. You've got Eastern Kentucky coming to the U.S., to the UW Milwaukee Panther Arena this weekend. You got college hoops, you got NBA, you got football. Man, it's a plethora of stuff. You're going to have some Admirals hockey this weekend. If you're going to be a hockey fanatic, you got all that going on. Man, it's sit back, relax, and enjoy the weekend. Grab yourself a stogie, maybe a couple of fingers of scotch or bourbon or the beer of your choice. Get out and enjoy it. Or just stay home and build a fire because the weekend weather stinks. That's it. We made it through another. You and I will talk again after the game this Sunday. Seattle on the road at Lambeau Field. Packers hosting the Seahawks. And we got the Green and Gold postgame show immediately following. Time for us to